I'd like to call the 4:30 p.m. closed session to order. August 19th meeting of the Murrieta City Council is now called to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember DeForest. Councilmember Stone. Councilmember Holliday.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle.
Here.
Mayor Warren.
Here.
Let the record reflect that 3 members of the City Council are present, with Councilmember DeForest and Councilmember Stone absent.
I forgot to hit my gavel, so I hit it. There we go. Okay.
Does that make a difference?
It does, I guess. Public comments. Madam City Clerk, would you please go over the closed session agenda, and if there are any public comments, please let us know.
Madam Mayor, seeing no public comments, the City Council will go into closed session, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. You will conduct a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2. There is significant exposure to litigation for 4 cases. This council will also meet and conduct a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 with the city manager, assistant city manager, city attorney, and city's negotiators regarding labor negotiations with Murrieta Supervisors Association and the Management, Professional, and Confidential Group. Lastly, this council will conduct a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8 to enable the city council to consider negotiations and give directions to its negotiators regarding certain real property at the intersection of Calmia Street and Jefferson Avenue, APN 906080041, 906080042, and 906080033 with Bold Communities and Fidelis Advisors, city's real property negotiators, city manager, assistant city manager, development services director, economic development director, and city attorney, who will seek direction from this council regarding the price and terms for this property.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to go into recess to closed session, and we will reconvene at 6 p.m. for the regular meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 19th regular meeting of the Murrieta City Council is now called to order. City Attorney, may we please have a report for closed session?
Yes, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to start by saying that Councilmember Dr. DeForest joined us in closed session. First, the council met in closed session on 4 items regarding significant exposure to litigation. In one of those matters, Councilmember Stone recused herself. In another item, the council rejected a claim filed by April McGinnis unanimously. The other 2 items, the council was updated, no reportable action. The next item was to confer with labor negotiators regarding labor negotiations with the Murrieta Supervisors Association and Management and Professional Confidential Group. On both of those items, the council was updated, no reportable action. The last item was to confer with real property negotiators regarding identified property in the agenda. On that item, the council was updated, council asked questions, no reportable action. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Madam City Clerk, will you please call roll?
Councilmember DeForest.
Here.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Councilmember Holliday.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle.
Here.
Mayor Warren.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Thank you very much. At this time, if you're able to, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Scott Agajanian, and please remain standing for the invocation led by Pastor Doug Cole with the Murrieta Church of Christ.
All right, so please put your hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's all pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Father, may your will be done on this earth as it is in heaven. Father, we put our trust in you. We know, Father, Jeremiah prayed, it's not up to men to direct their steps. And so we pray, Father, as we put our trust in you, that you would direct our steps, that you would give us ears to hear, that you would give us hearts to follow. Father, that you would bless this city, bless this meeting, bless this council. Father, we pray that you would give them a filling of your wisdom, of your spirit, that whether they're making decisions on permits or taxes or celebrating our people, Father, whatever it be, Father, may your name be praised. I pray, Father, that you would fill this city with your presence, that your peace, that your joy would reign in your people, and your name would be glorified. Father, you've made great promises to us. You've told us of your never failing presence and love, and we pray that you would open our eyes and our hearts to that. That our trust in you, Father, would not be empty, but it would be full and productive for the sake of your name. And Father, that's our prayer, that through this council, through this meeting, through this city, that your name would be glorified. God, that we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you. We're now going to move on to the certificate of recognition. We are going to be honoring our police department volunteers tonight. We are very excited about this. Council members, DeForest, did you want to call up a representative?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say on behalf of the entire City Council, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to you all. We know that your time and service to our community is, it's not taken lightly, and we greatly appreciate every one of you. And we know that our police department is stronger because of you. And it is my honor tonight to have you all here, and it's so nice to see so many blue shirts. And I know that Dawn has prepared, with some help from the rest of you, has prepared a PowerPoint presentation, and I'd really like you all to see that. Just looking through it, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you all have saved the city. And I'd just like to say that, you know, anytime there's something going on, there's an event, there's something happy, there's an accident, you are all there. So it's always nice to see you out, and you're very, very appreciated. So with that called, Dawn, could I have you front and center, sir?
Okay, she just asked me to do this.
Yeah.
All right, so actually we're here to protect all you because of the city. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so Murrieta Volunteer Program. Okay, I'm going to go through it fairly quickly. Next slide, please. Okay, the volunteer program is crucial to the success of maintaining the services and community programs. Murrieta has the annual distinction of being the safest city in Riverside County and one of the safest in the state nation. And I think that's because we're squeezed between Temecula and Lake Elsinore and nobody knows we're here. So this would not be possible without our police volunteers. We firmly believe that volunteer activity contributes to the prestigious designation and part of overall collaborative team effort. Field training volunteers also assist in maintaining crime scenes, traffic control, aiding officers, and scene control of fatal accidents investigations. And we search for missing children when that comes out. Next slide, please. Okay, the history of the MPD volunteers. The program started in 1993 by still at original MPD building on Cal Oaks. It was next to Fire Station 2. It was a double line. That's what the police department was. At Cal Oaks and Hancock. We were approximately 12 original volunteers, and the program has continued without interruption. And we've had as many as 40 volunteers, but right now we have 30 active volunteers, the longest serving member for 26 years. Okay, these are our divisions. The patrol division, if you see us driving around the white cars, it does say volunteer, but most of you just think we're police officers. Records division, if you walk into the police department and turn left to the glass doors, you'll see volunteers that are helping out. Am I loud enough? Do I need this? Okay. All right.
So people can hear you online.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. The records division, so they work in records there, so they'll help you out if you go and you need a report or something similar to that. They can help you out with that. And if we have special events in the city, which we have many, most of us will be out there. You'll see our booths set up, and we're patrolling around the special event to make sure everybody's safe. Other duties are property and evidence, concealed carry permits, station tours, Citizens Academy, Yana. If you don't know what Yana is, it's You're Not Alone program. They can sign up for it, and we'll visit them and call them every day just to make sure that they're okay. And then live scans. We cover the live scans as well. Okay, most of our volunteers work in the records department. Our patrol volunteers help with school traffic, conduct vacation checks, assist disabled vehicles, 24/7 emergency callouts. So if you see an accident, you see the road closed, what we do is replace some of the officers that are doing it so they go back on patrol, and then we watch the road closure for them. Okay, removing garage signs and unallowed temporary signs, and keep the public property safe and keep the city clean as well. Who are our volunteers? We have volunteers that are preparing for a career in law enforcement. We have volunteers that are retired and want to contribute their life experience to their community. And we have volunteers that still have full-time jobs. One thing, all of us volunteers share their desire to serve our community. Okay, leadership. The volunteer coordinator is Bob Taylor. Records coordinator is Carolyn Mangold. Patrol coordinator is Charles Steele. Patrol training coordinator is myself. And emergency call-out coordinator is Bob. And VIMS, which that's the Volunteer Information Management System. We have that to watch all our hours and to send emails out. Okay? And in 2024, the police volunteers donated 6,300 hours of their time at a value of $262,000 with a total of 31 volunteers. Calendar year to date, this year, we have donated 3,476 hours with a value of $142,000 with 30 volunteers. Okay? So our volunteers love the city of Murrieta and the police department, and we love to serve you guys. So if you see us out at schools or at a special event, say hi. Most of us are nice. No, we're all nice. We'll talk to you. And if you need any help with anything, we know where to get that. So feel free to ask us any questions you like. So, okay.
Thank you so much, Don. Our Madam Mayor is going to read the proclamation to you all, and we will also be providing you with a little special gift, and that will be tomorrow. Tomorrow. Our city clerk will make sure each one of you get a little special gift for being here tonight and for everything that you've done for us at the city. So we appreciate you all. Thank you, Don, for that great presentation. It really gave a lot of information about who you are.
Thank you. And before I read the certificate of recognition, I'd like to ask our Chief of Police if he'd like to come up and say a few words on behalf of his volunteers.
Absolutely. Well, Don kind of summed everything up. I mean, he spoke about the volunteer program, but yeah, I just want to reiterate the importance that they serve for our department. Call outs in the middle of the night, they come out instead of me waking up 2 officers who might have just worked 2 to 4 officers, 6, whatever it is, whatever the scene requires, to have them come in maybe after a 12, 14-hour shift or preparing to go in for a 12 or 14-hour shift. We're able to call out the volunteers, and they're able to manage scenes for us just as effectively as any officer on the street. The money that they save us, I mean, that's tremendous. We're talking into the hundreds of thousands of dollars that their hours that they contribute are I don't want to use the word donated to the police department because you're working for it and we're getting something out of it, but it is. You're volunteering your time and away from your family and your loved ones to come help us. And we really can't show as much gratitude as we possibly can because it's what you do is immense for us. I speak with a lot of chiefs around the county and surrounding counties. There are agencies that are at least double our size who have a quarter of the volunteers that we have. So that kind of speaks to the program itself and how well it's run and managed by the volunteers themselves. So again, keep it up. This is a great night for them. Really appreciate it, and thank you all.
Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to read the certificate of recognition, and then I will ask each of my colleagues if they'd like to say something before we bring you all up for a great big group picture, okay? So the City of Murrieta Certificate of Recognition, Murrieta Police Department Volunteers. Whereas the Murrieta Police Volunteer Program was established in 1993, and has remained a steadfast and invaluable component of the Murrieta Police Department for over 3 decades. And whereas the program has had as many as 40 volunteers at any time and currently has 30 active volunteers, with the largest serving member of 26 years. And whereas police volunteers are often some of the first response community members received when interacting with the department, ranging from the station tours, city events, to on-scene traffic control. And whereas the dedication and commitment demonstrated by the volunteers have ensured that critical needs are able to be met at all levels, such as maintaining crime scenes to assisting with general police records. And whereas the various skills, backgrounds, and experiences the volunteers bring are essential to the department's operations, community outreach, and public safety programs. And whereas the volunteers have different reasons for volunteering, however, one thing they all share is their desire to serve our community. Now there let it be known that on behalf of the City Council of the City of Murrieta, we hereby honor and recognize the Murrieta Police Volunteer Program's past and present members who have selfishly dedicated their time to the police department. Dated this 19th day of August, 2025, and is signed by every council member sitting up here. So congratulations, well-deserved award. I'm going to go ahead and start with Councilmember Holliday.
Yeah, I want to echo Dr. DeForest's comments, but I've met a few of you. I've been around the city since '96, and I've seen a lot of police volunteers come and go, and the one thing I can say is I've not met a single volunteer that hasn't gone above and beyond to help out the city, and we certainly appreciate that. So we couldn't be as good of a police department as we are without you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember, you're okay? All right. Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I beat Councilmember Holliday. I moved to Murrieta in 1976. So I've seen Murrieta grow from such a small town to the vibrant city that it is today. And that is due to our founding council members. When they ran for office, their number one priority was local control. It was to own our own police department. While our neighboring cities poo-pooed us and said that we would fail within the first 5 years, here we are, how many years later? Your dedication to our community, you should definitely be rewarded because you have saved us so much money. But Murrieta is about quality of life. You live here, you participate, and you are part of the solution of being one of the best police departments, not just in the state of California, but in the country. So I want to say thank you so much for your public service, and God bless you.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't tell you how many times I've seen one of the white cop cars. It makes me look at my speedometer and second guess what I'm doing. So the presence is definitely felt, and much it serves as a reminder that more of you we have on the roads at our events, that, you know, the safer our community feels and actually will be. So thank you for what you do. And I truly believe the single greatest gift a human being can give is their time in some way, form, or fashion. So thank you for giving your time to the community that greatly appreciates it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. I believe that better together we go further and tomorrow's brighter. And without your dedication and service to our community, we would not be the community you are today. So from the bottom of my heart and from all of ours, thank you for giving of your time, your dedication, and giving this city the so deserved volunteerism that it needs to be a great city. So thank you very, very much. And at this time, I'd like you all to come forward and let's take a group picture.
We'll probably have to get some people on this side as well. side real fast. Stone, can you scooch in, or maybe this side? Yes, sorry. Just so we get everybody. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Great job, everyone. Okay. One more. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we'll display this. Absolutely.
You're welcome, thank you. All right, we're going to move forward. That was, what a great way to start our council meeting today. Just awesome. We're going to move with the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda? Anybody moving it?
Uh-oh.
I'm asking for-
Madam Mayor, just a moment, please.
Okay, thank you. We're in a delayed mode?
We're in still sleepy mode.
Sleep. Wait.
I forgot what to do after going dark.
I have, well, I
Yeah, I
did.
took it away. Okay, let's do it again. There we go. Thank you.
Flipped and flopped. All right. We have it moved by Councilmember DeForest and second by Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle. Please vote.
Let me see if I can remember this.
We're awake now.
Oh, my God.
Kind of.
Okay.
Sorry.
There we go.
Motion carries unanimously 5-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you for waking up the computer. We appreciate that. Okay, we're going to move on to our city manager update.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of things this evening. First, it's my pleasure to announce another meaningful contribution to one of our community's most important projects, the Murrieta Public Library's Children's Library expansion. Madam Mayor, would you please do the honor of introducing this generous donation?
It would be my pleasure. Tonight, we are honored to recognize Mr. Dan Lee for his generous donation of $25,000 to the Murrieta Public Library Foundation in support of the Murrieta Public Library Expansion Project. This gift will help the foundation fund enhancements to our library, creating more opportunities for learning and connection in our community. We also thank the Murrieta Public Library Foundation for their ongoing dedication and partnership in making this important project a reality. So, on behalf of the City of Murrieta, thank you, Mr. Lee, for your outstanding support at this time. I'd like to invite you to come forward to present the check to the Murrieta Public Library Foundation and join the City Council for a photo, but I'd also like you to say a few words if you would like.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've been part of this community since the late 80s, where we first started doing business here, and I've thoroughly enjoyed, once the city incorporated, the partnership that we've enjoyed and we've been blessed with. Actually, as a side note, the first project we built once the city incorporated was in California Oaks, we sold homes from 89.9. So if you can imagine that in this amazing community. And we've seen this community grow into such a special place, and as everybody knows and appreciates. And we're part of our philosophy, if we're blessed and we're able to do business in a community, part of our values and philosophy is give back to that community. And what a great cause. Education, reading is the foundation of helping young people become the citizens of tomorrow. And so we're big believers in education, and so we're very proud to be part of this donation and part of the foundation to support reading programs and education in the library. Thank you.
Mr. Lee, thank you so very much.
All right. 1, 2, 3. I just got my photo.
What I have to do is
You got to jump around the parking lot.
Well, we just started with 2 great items. I'm telling you, what a great way to start our session tonight. At this time, I would like to start our governing body reports.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I could please,
Oh,
I
do you
have one more announcement.
Okay,
I'm
I did
sorry.
not
Thank you
see
very much.
that. Okay, my apologies.
I would only want Christina Davies, our Public Information Officer, to come up and give us a community update.
Oh, fabulous, please. There she is. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. So as always, I'm here to give an update on what is going on in Murrieta. So for many, or if you don't know, Murrieta Hot Springs Road widening project is expected to officially begin on Sunday. And with that, I just want to give you guys a little bit of an update that what we've done so far for communication, because we know that is very important with this project. So we've done a press release to inform media. We've had a few of the media outlets pick up on it. We've done social media posts, and some of them have reached thousands of users, particularly the groundbreaking post. That one reached nearly 100,000 users. So I think we're doing good on our reach. On our website, we do have a spot for the project that has the information about the project, and in the last month, it's been the 9th most visited page on our website. Notify Me, this is a system where we can sign up specifically for a specific project. And so on this one, we have 181 subscribers so far. So we are encouraging residents and businesses and people to sign up for Notify Me. So if they want project specific information, we can give them that information versus sending it out to, like tiny little updates to everybody. Our engineering department did send out notices to businesses and residents. And then our economic development department, they also met with several businesses in that area. So I also just want to, again, remind people to sign up for Notify Me. So if you do want information on this project, you can go to murrietaca.gov/notify me. And you can sign up for the Hot Springs project and you will get updates. That is something that I will push out. So if there's any changes to construction, we can give that information. All right, next, as far as events go, we are hosting a household hazardous waste collection this Saturday. This is different than the bulky item one. This is the hazardous material. This is open to Riverside County residents, so you don't have to be a Murrieta resident. You just have to live in Riverside County. We do have the information up there for what is accepted as well as what's not accepted on our social media accounts. And if you want more information on that, you can go to rcwaste.org. And then another upcoming event, who loves dogs? I know, I do. John Lavelle, yes. So our Glen Arbor Dog Park ribbon cutting, we want to invite the community to come out Monday, August 25th, and that's at 10 in the morning. I have the address up there if you have questions. We also have the number if you have any questions. But this is a newly constructed dog park for our friendly furry little friends. As always, stay connected, and you can get all the information to stay connected at murrietaca.gov/connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That concludes my announcements.
Thank you very much, City Manager Clifton. At this time, governing body reports, we will move to that portion of the agenda is the opportunity for City Council to provide a brief report on conferences, seminars, and committees, and/or board meetings. Governing body announcements is the opportunity for the City Council to provide miscellaneous reports and announcements. Reports shall not exceed 5 minutes, and the City Clerk will use a computerized timer. We will start off with Council Member DeForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you can see from the slides, I attended the concert in the park and was honored to help present with my fellow council members military banners that were retired. I want to thank the men and women who served our country. After that, it was followed by an amazing concert. After that, Gilligan's Island Band. They were quite a lot of fun. So, and then on July 27th, I attended the Bear Creek Wildfire Preparedness. That was presented by our fire chief, Chief Malloy, to the community of Bear Creek. They are very concerned about fire, so much so they've put together a grant, and I helped talk about the reasons why that area is so in need of money to help clear out some of their spaces that line the golf course that have overgrowth of trees and shrubs. It was very, very informative. It was attended by over 60 people, and they asked some really good questions, and they also now have put together a wildfire group that is for wildfire protection of the region. So I know that wildfires are on everybody's mind. So that was an amazing group that the community has stepped up and put together. Also, with my fellow colleagues, as you can see from our jerseys, we attended a very fun night at the Murrieta Storms game. A lot of fun. It was amazing to see our mayor throw the first pitch out, which she did absolutely fantastic. So hard that Thunder, yes, I lost his name for a minute. Yeah, Thunder couldn't even catch it because it was whizzing by so fast. So that was a lot of fun. It was a hot night, but quite a lot of fun. And then after that, attended a national night out, which was very well received. Lots of people. Also another hot night, but I think the photo there to the right of Simpson getting many pets. He was the star of the show. Also the drones and everything else they brought out, but Simpson, everybody kept going back to. So I think we definitely have a city mascot with Simpson. So also attended the ribbon cutting for the widening of the Murrieta Hot Springs. That's going to be absolutely a game changer for our community, and we were all present for that. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for making me move my schedule around for the 15th time. I appreciate my patience, being very patient with me. So anyway, if you need to get a hold of me, I attended several other things that'll be on the website for you to see. But if you need to get a hold of me, my email address is there, as well as my cell phone. You can text or for faster service or give me a call. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you, even if you're not in District 3, but if you're in District 3, even more. So thank you, Madam Mayor, and I greatly appreciate the time.
Thank you, Councilmember DeForest. Councilmember Stone?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bob Mailing and I attended the Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee Southwest Zone Executive Meeting. And this is where we lobby to bring infrastructure dollars back to the city of Murrieta. And I'd like to give you a report of the funds that have been allocated to Murrieta. And this is, first is Whitewood Road, Clinton Keith to Hunter, $1.5 million for pre-construction. We have Murrieta Hot Springs from Margarita to Winchester is $3 million. And for construction, another $350,000. Jefferson Avenue, Nutmeg to Palomar, $1.5 million. The Southwest Zone Study, a prioritization study, $1.5 million. But the one that we are waiting patiently for is Keller Road is dedicated to $15 million for construction. And because of my advocacy and pushing WRCOG, we received another $8 million for Keller Road. So that's when we sit on regional commissions, we all advocate. Our mayor for transportation, John Lavelle is animal control. Just to give you an idea, when we sit on regional commissions, how we advocate for resources and services back to the city of Murrieta. In addition, Councilmember Holliday and I, for the last year, have been sitting on the ad hoc committee for code enforcement. And we will be presenting along with our team and our assistant city manager, Kristen Crane, our findings of what we would like to see implemented in the future when it comes to code enforcement. I was so appreciative to speak at the annual Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts a couple of weeks ago, and I so enjoy talking to them. Our future leaders, great questions about our environment, public safety, infrastructure. It's amazing that these young kids are already thinking about government, and so I really appreciate their leaders and that opportunity. I attended the Holocaust fundraiser at Mount Palomar Winery, and it was a beautiful day, and it was a great celebration. And in addition to my colleagues, I attended the groundbreaking for Murrieta Hot Springs, and all I can say, it's finally here, but we're going to ask you to be very, very patient. Find alternative routes, because it could be, anywhere from 8 months to a year, depending on any unforeseeable hiccups. So please be patient. And again, kudos to our mayor for throwing the first pitch out at the storm. It was a night for Murrieta, and we're all wearing our shirts in celebration of our mayor. That concludes my governing body announcements, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. Councilmember Holliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since we were dark, my list is lengthy, and so I'm not going to read them all. As far as the governing body reports, multiple Town Square Park and Amphitheater subcommittee meetings, which Mayor Warren attended with me. We're working on that weekly now.
Yes, we are.
Had a Santa Stops kickoff meeting. Santa Stops will be returning for 2025, so they're looking for volunteers. You can send an email to murrietasantastops@gmail.com. Something like that. Went to one of my standing committees is the Regional Conservation Authority, RCA, and they deal with habitat, and we've been having some issues with getting projects to move forward because some of the states and federal agencies saying, oh no, you got to take care of that bumblebee that we just discovered is an endangered species in Northern California. But we want you to take care of it here in Southern California where it's plentiful. So we're dealing with some issues with them, and it is, and I will say with Aaron Hake, the new director, it's a lot more friendly to deal with that organization than it used to be in the past. So we are making progress there. They did make one minor rule change to a conflict resolution I wanted to share. So if somebody brings a parcel forward that we've designated, RCA is designated for purchase, we get an appraisal and we offer them the amount of the appraisal. If they don't like the amount of that appraisal, they go get their own appraiser and they can come in with that amount and say, well, this is what our appraiser says it's worth. If we don't like that, then together we pick a third appraiser, and that third appraiser typically says, well, we think the value is this. And they may be closer to the higher end, closer to low end. Something they didn't consider when they created that plan 20 years ago is what happens if that third appraiser comes in higher than the seller's appraiser? And we have had 2 cases in the last few months where the third appraiser said, well, those 2 people didn't do it right at all, and increased it by hundreds to millions of dollars. And so we made a rule change that said the final purchase price will be the highest of the seller's appraisal and nothing else. They can't come in and raise it up a third time just because that appraiser decided they wanted to look at the value differently than the other 2. So that's the highest it can be. I'm sure that's going to cause some people some consternation, but there's only so much money to pay for these parcels. So that's the major report out from that. And then I sat on Western Regional Council of Governments for Councilmember Stone. She had a conflict, and I'm already there for the RCA meeting, so I was happy to stay over. And the only thing that was of substance they discussed was who's going to be the speaker at the General Assembly next year. And so the top 2 are Bob Costas and then Jewel, the singer. So they're pursuing those 2 right now to see if they're available. You don't want Jewel?
No, they're off the list.
They're gone already? Is it down to John Maxwell and Tony Hawk? Those were the next 2. Tony Hawk. They had to go down to, that was our 4th choice. They had to go down to 4th choice to find somebody that was available. Yeah, the amount these guys get paid for an hour and a half of speaking is incredible. So on to my governing body announcements. I attended almost everything that the other council members spoke of, so I won't talk about those. We all went to several Murrieta Police Department swearing-ins and promotions. Chief Henry has decided that it's silly to have an officer working on duty and not being sworn in officially. So he does those regularly now, which creates more work for us, but I think it's the right way to do it. We want to swear them in and then get them on the streets. So I appreciate that. The mayor and I went to the March Air Force Reserve Base change of command ceremony. I was in the Air Force Reserve. It was a very well done ceremony. They did say a couple things that were interesting. They're currently calling up a lot of reserves for some perceived things that are going to happen summer of 27. I can't say what that is, but I pray it's not true. And the national out. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is Murrieta's youth court. I think it was started by Matt Mozingo, wasn't it? Yeah, he kind of, it was started a while ago in Temecula, but I think he's kind of taken it over for the years. He's retiring next month. So far, I think he's divvied up all his responsibilities to 5 different officers. I don't know how he did it all. But this youth court, he invited me to it at the National Night Out. I'm like, oh, well, I'll go. He's one of the few people that if they're doing something, I usually support it. Scott Agajanian is another one wherever he went. And he's the one that set up the police academy, Citizens Police Academy, which I went through. It was really good. But the youth court is peers, youths that are teenagers. Some of them, one of their penalties when they get caught is they don't go through the court system, they don't go through juvenile hall. They can volunteer to be for this youth court. And everybody but the judge is another youth, one of their peers. And so they have a teen as their attorney, they have teens as prosecutors, and they have a 12-member teen jury. And they ask questions. Why did you do what you did? They listen to their statements, then they go and deliberate, and they divvy up what they think is an appropriate penalty for what they did. And a lot of it's community service. One of the main thing is they have to serve on a jury of a future youth court. So they get to be on the other side and determine what the penalty is for other youth that got into trouble. Very successful program. The kids don't have to be there. It's all voluntary. I tell you, I was truly impressed with that organization and everything they're doing. And the kids were amazing. Some of these kids want to be attorneys, just outstanding. So I can't say enough about that. If you ever get a chance to go to youth court, it's open to the public. You can go to it. I think it's the third Thursday of the month at the courthouse on Ald Road. And that was plenty.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Holliday. Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't touch on, I think we all attended a lot of the same stuff in the last month. A couple highlights for me. I had no governing body reports, so these are the announcements. Some highlights for me. The Storm game, you know, the best thing about that night was going home with the jersey on and convincing my daughter that I was drafted by the Storm and got a new job. And the funny thing is, it actually was believable for about a couple days. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm
we need to talk to her.
Yeah, she has faith in her father still. No, that was really cool to see. Mayor Warren did a great job throwing the ball to the stuffed animal, whatever the thing's called. It's one of the Sesame Street figures. On top of that, I was able to attend the ribbon cutting of a friend of mine who opened a business, Tip of the Spear Psychotherapy, right here in town. The cool thing about that was he's a veteran that is a psychologist that is planting roots here in the community and bringing much needed services for, something that, it needs, as a growing city, you need those services to grow with it. And so it's hard to open a business, and it's even harder to open anything in the medical field or the clinical world. So it was really cool to see that, and he's got a lot of momentum behind what he's doing, and I wish him all the best luck in the future, and I appreciate my colleagues being there as well for the celebration of that. And then the Hot Springs Road widening or expansion project, I was there as well. Probably the hottest day ever since that I can remember. I think it was Senator DeCiarto that said, if you don't have to go over there, don't go at all. And that reminded me, it's the next year is probably going to be a lot like working out or exercise or fitness. It's going to hurt really, really bad for a little bit longer until it doesn't. So, but the end goal, the product will be awesome. It'll be worth the hurt. So that's all I got.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle. Mine's ditto, 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 ditto. But on my governing body reports, I do have the full report of the RCTC meeting that I attended last Wednesday, although I do want to highlight one item, and that item is Caltrans District 8. And they don't build roads anymore. They don't add freeway lanes. They don't do anything of that sort. But they are updating 5 segments of pavement rehabilitation on the I-215 freeway. Finally, from Clinton Keith Road in Murrieta to Chicago Avenue in Riverside, this is a $180 million investment by the state highway operations. So that is happening. It was also funded by the gas tax also, so that you're aware of that. So sometimes it does go to where it's supposed to. It is going to take time, but if you've driven on the 215 lately, you will see that many of the lanes have been improved already, and the road is smoother, mainly going towards Riverside. They are coming towards this way. There's still some rough patches, but they did have a defaulty asphalt a few years ago when they did this, 10 years ago, and it was actually asphalts were separating from each other, and that's where you had the patches of asphalt, and which was blowing people's tires and causing problems. So it is being fixed. Again, be patient, it is happening. I also want to thank my colleagues and the Chamber of Commerce and Scott Agajanian and all those involved for putting together Murrieta Night at the Storm Stadium. It was a lot of fun. I was nervous as all get out, and yes, I threw a strike and then he missed it. So that was a little disappointing, but it must have been the heat I had on it. I don't know about that.
That's right.
Yeah. And one other thing, I went to I've been here, there, and everywhere, and I'm not going to bore you with that, but 2 things I do want to really talk to you about. I don't think there's a person in this room that hasn't been affected by mail theft in their community mailboxes. Together with myself and staff, we had a very lucrative and talkative meeting with our U.S. Postmaster, acting one here in the city, but also with his bosses and the inspector of this area. We have a report, mail theft, which I will put up here, and it's in the report. They'll get over to that. It tells you how to report a mail theft, what to do, scan the QR code. We are trying to help our residents do what's right so that you do not become a victim of mail theft. One of it is get your mail every day, please. Don't leave it in over the weekend, and report. If we don't know what's happening, we cannot add you to the list of what is going on. So please report anything that happens in your community for your community mailbox. National Night Out was awesome, and I just want to say that the widening project, they say 9 months. I'm holding them to that, fingers crossed. So here's the new motto: don't scream and shout, simply reroute. If you don't have to be there, don't be there. And I'll pack your patience, do what you need to do. It's going to be amazing when it's over with, but please, District 5 is coming alive, but it's going to take 9 months for it to happen. So pack your patience. That then concludes my report. Moving on, scoot this over. At this time, we were going to have public comments. Any persons may address the governing bodies on any subject pertaining to city business. Normally, no action may be considered or taken by the governing bodies or any matter not listed on the agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Patrick Ellis.
Welcome, Mr. Ellis.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Warren, Council, staff. Patrick Ellis here tonight as President and CEO of Explore Murrieta. I will not get paid for my time, but for 3 minutes, I'll take what I can get. Now, I am excited to announce that today, for those of you who do follow Explore Murrieta on social media, the last few days, we've had some very interesting posts on there with some kind of very cryptic kind of things to come. Well, today is the day, and yay, thank you so much. I appreciate you for doing that. You will see we have a brand new website. The design just went up today. We have all new branding associated with it, some exciting new features on the site as well. So I wanted to encourage you all to please, if you get some time, go on exploremurrieta.com, go around, search around, see what's in there. There's some new toys as far as booking engines and stuff that we didn't have before. So excited about the new look and feel of our website, and excited to continue to help draw visitors to our community and encourage them to stay in the best place in Southwest Riverside County. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much.
Roxanne Roundtree.
Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Warren, City Council, and City staff. My name is Roxanne Roundtree, and I'm a Senior Advisor for Eastern Municipal Water District. I'm here with my colleague, Alma Ramirez, and we've had the pleasure of attending a few meetings with some of you over the past 3 weeks, so you've heard our message that we're sharing, so I apologize if you have to sit through it again. Earlier this year, EMWD, because of the census, went through redistricting, and our board division shifted. So with that, board member Director Pauly and President Stephen Corona were your board members here in the city of Murrieta. As you know, EMWD is the largest of the 4 water districts that you have here. And we value our partnership with you very much. So we wanted to make sure we did get over here and let city staff know and council know that Alma will now be your public affairs officer for the city of Murrieta. I'll be shifting after 17 years down to Temecula, Rainbow, and Fallbrook. But I did want to let you know that I've appreciated the time that I've worked with you, and you are in good hands. So if anything is needed from EMWD, Alma is your rep.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, honorable members of the council. I am very excited to be here and look forward to working with you all. Thank you very much.
That concludes public comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to move to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be enacted by one motion and a vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless specific items are removed from the consent calendar for a separate motion. Are there any requests from the City Council to pull any consent calendar items for discussion or recusing from voting? Hearing none. Madam City Clerk, are there any members of the public requesting to speak on the consent calendar item?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Holliday and a second by Councilmember DeForest. Please vote.
I guess I should vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to item number 21, a resolution of necessity for secondary emergency access hearing. We're now moving on to the hearing. As there are any council members who would like to recuse themselves from this item? Seeing none, staff, may we please have your report?
Good evening, Mayor Warren, council members. Glad to be here this evening. This evening I have with me a gentleman, Ryan Humphrey. He is a representative from Monument. He's one of our right-of-way consulting firms that assists us with right-of-way acquisition activities. Here to talk to you tonight about a resolution of necessity at the location of 24712 Via Silva Street. Well, I guess that would just be Via Silva. This is located well, I'm going to give you a kind of a vicinity map and show you where it's located. Over off of Hancock Avenue. So you see kind of this large area in green. And kind of, if you notice where that red dot is over there in the middle, you have, well, let me orient you a little bit more. You got Los Alamos Road here in the lower right portion of the screen, and Hancock kind of running up along the, as kind of identified there. This area is takes access off of Milkwood Lane that comes off of Hancock, and to get over to what we call Burley Street, it locates over to this location. What's of interest here is trying to provide secondary access for all of the homes within this green highlighted area. There's 147 homes and 14 undeveloped parcels that do not have current secondary access, as Milkwood Lane is the only access point for all of those homes. It's a condition that we've been concerned about for some time, and the undeveloped parcels that are left there cannot get building permits until this secondary access issue is resolved. The red dot there is the location of this secondary emergency access route, and it happens to locate itself on the parcel that I had described on Via Silva. This is kind of a blown up view. Here you can see Juniper Street in the lower corner of the screen, and here you can see Burley Street that comes up as a cul-de-sac, and then Heirloom Court and Via Silva is that knuckle over on the left side of the photo. 24712 Via Silva is the property, and the green area that's identified on there, that's hatched in there, represents the easement that we are looking to locate. I will note that the area that we're trying to identify, the property itself is a fully developed tract home. There is a existing screen wall that runs along the yellow line that you see in that exhibit. Well, I'm going to say it runs along the edge of the property, of the developed portion of the property. The area in green does not have a wall around it. It is currently undeveloped in its current state. I believe it was always intended to be some form of a pedestrian or drivable access easement between these two, between Burley and Heirloom. So kind of as I identified, the undeveloped properties within the vicinity of Juniper and Burley cannot be developed due to the lack of this secondary access. These parcels, as well as the developed neighborhood to the east, only have single access via Hancock, and the easement that we just described on Via Silva will provide that secondary access. Secondary access would be developed by constructing a 22-foot wide asphalt pavement within a proposed 30-foot wide easement strip. And there would be, this would be an emergency access only, so there would be locked gates on either side that would be suitable for people and residents within a situation of an emergency or from public safety. This is kind of an additional blow-up view of the actual easement dedication, but shows the 30-foot easement there between Via Silva and Burley Street, and then shows the adjacent home, which is shown there as Lot 7. So what we are seeking tonight is a resolution of necessity. A resolution of necessity is a precursor to the eminent domain process. The acquisition is in the public interest and is necessary for the work that we need to do to provide, it says proposed project, that would be the secondary access that we're seeking. There are a total of, as identified, 14 undeveloped parcel owners and approximately 147 existing homes that are currently impacted by a lack of that secondary access and will benefit from the creation of a secondary emergency access route. Just one more clarification I wanted to point out. As you can see from this photo, the area in green there is no current development on that parcel. It is our belief that this easement was always intended to have some form of access through here, whether it be pedestrian or drivable access. And in this particular case, we had a developer that owns one of the properties down on Juniper Street had reached out to an engineer to obtain the easement for this. That resident reached out to, or that property owner reached out to the owner of the property at the time and had secured an easement. We actually had a grant deed as well as they prepared the easement documents that I think I just showed you. This easement document here created the plat and legal description. The plat and legal or a grant deed was prepared, and that document was effectively signed and notarized. Unfortunately, the problem that we ran into is the notary was deficient and could not be recorded by the county recorder's office. When we went back to the property owner wanted to demand other things at that point in time and refused to come to the table to sign the document and move forward. So that was stalled at that point, and since then we've been we moved forward with trying to secure the access in the means that we saw how, which is through a right-of-way access process, a right-of-way acquisition process, excuse me. So what we have here is a kind of a summary of an appraisal process that we went through. In February, we came up with a notice of decision to appraise, and that was mailed to the property owner. An appraisal was conducted through March, from March through May of this year. And then in June, an offer of $36,000 was made to the property owner based on the fair market value that was established in that appraisal. On July 21st, a notice of hearing regarding the adoption of a resolution of necessity was mailed to the property owner. So to date, staff has not currently come to an agreement with the property owner regarding the terms of the city's offer. Staff is currently recommending approval of a resolution necessity should the city elect to acquire the necessary easement by eminent domain. Negotiations are expected to continue to reach a settlement. If they cannot be reached, then the city will have other options available to its disposal under the terms of resolution necessity. So with that, our recommendation is to adopt a resolution necessity by a 4/5 vote, declaring that a public interest and necessity require acquisition of interest in a portion of the parcel property known as assessor parcel number 949-130-050. I'm here to answer any questions. Mr. Ryan Humphrey from Monument is also here if you have questions regarding the negotiation process that we have gone through thus far. And we're here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for your report. We appreciate it. I'm going to bring it back to council for questions. We're going to start with Councilmember Stone.
Thank you so much, Jeff, to you and your entire team, and also to our city manager and my colleagues. We don't take eminent domain very lightly, as you know, but for this secondary access, it's extremely important, and I believe that even our fire chief has weighed in on the secondary access as well. So again, not that we take this, very seriously. It's really sad after all these years that the
homeowner is not willing to step up to the plate. And $36,100 for a small little access road is a substantial amount of money. And so, again, for the residents, the secondary access is very, very important. So again, thank you to you and your team and to our city manager for bringing this forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. Councilmember DeForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, Jeff, I'd like to say thank you as well for the clarity in this presentation, as well as updating us on what's going on. I just have one question. You said that the easement was going to be a 22-foot road. Is that a normal size, or isn't our roadways 24? Or help me understand the difference between the easement versus a roadway.
Sure, of course. Yeah, thank you for the question, Councilmember DeForest. The easement itself is 30 feet wide. The roadway itself that we would be putting in there, and I don't know that I would call it a roadway as opposed to an access, right? This is an emergency access only, and it'll be gated on both ends. It's only wide enough to be able to support a full fire truck, and so it will be paved for that purpose. The emergency access gates that will be there will be locked on a normal basis. And they are breakaway locks for fire department to be able to go through there, or even for residents should there be an emergency situation where they would need to get through. So that's kind of the 22-foot width is just enough pavement for fire truck access.
And we wouldn't expect the community to try to access this area for escape for those homes if something devastating was to happen in that area?
Correct, they could. So while it is a locked access point, they are breakaway locks, meaning that they can be broken actually by really anybody through a hammer. A simple hammer would probably break through the lock. It's meant there to keep things locked so that regular people just aren't just driving through it regularly. But in a case of an emergency, the residents that live there would be able to have access through there.
Right. We wouldn't want Amazon driving through there every day, right? Okay. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
We would have signage on there as well to indicate that it's emergency access, so that hopefully would prevent people from going through there. You never know what people will do, but we will have to maintain it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember DeForest. Mayor Pro Tem LaBelle.
Thank you, Mayor. Can we go back to the map that has the green sliver highlighted? The sliver. The green sliver is what we're using for the easement, or what we're proposing to use. To the right, or I guess to the down south of that, where's the lot line, and what happens to the rest of the lot in this situation?
So as you can see, there's a vacant lot there just to the, what I'm going to say, below the kind of the green area that we're talking about accessing. The south edge of that, or the bottom edge of that green area that we're talking about, that is the lot line of the parcel in question. And so the lot line of the vacant parcel to the south of it is consistent with that same line.
Okay, so that'll be so someone else owns below that green line?
Correct.
Okay, so that's I assume a residential lot?
It's another property.
Okay.
Right.
And that'll be more usable or developable once this road is punched through?
Well, technically the road will never really punch through. This is just an access point that would provide emergency access only. The intent here is never to provide permanent access between Burley and Heirloom for regular pedestrian or regular vehicular use. It will only be used for emergency access.
Okay, so all the eminent domain is only for that green section, which will all be used for the easement?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem LaBelle. At this time, we're going to open the hearing. City Clerk, are there any testimony?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes. Sirius Colgal?
Hello.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Sure.
I'm kind of nervous. I'm not a public speaker. I represent the owner of that lot, and the easement was given at no cost to the city, and there was no problem notarizing it. It was notarized with my sister-in-law and her husband coming to the city in person. The hiccup that has happened is the ownership of the street. This track heirloom court was developed about in 2010 by a different developer of track of 9 homes. They went bankrupt and everything was left to the bank, and there was an HOA that was never formed and never completed. Since then, the homeowners they purchased these lots from the bank independently, were able to develop their home, and the city gave us a condition of giving that easement back in 2012, which we did at no cost again. So there is no greed here. That easement was meant for walking traffic, which was no problem. We developed it. One thing that the city promised us, city representatives, city engineer at that time, and the inspector, was since there's only 9 homes, nobody's taking responsibility, they would accept our street and give us a public service of cleaning and so forth. That never happened because of a cloud on the title of the street. Previous developer still owns that, and they couldn't record the easement at the time. That developer is gone. They owe over 15 years of $800 per year for the state. So I'm here to plead that, again, if the city would accept our street, which was at one point they considered, the city inspector gave me a punch list of what to do, and we did build a sidewalk all along, which we did, complete the other improvement that the city required at the time, which we did. But they couldn't file the final thing because of the cloud on the street ownership of the previous LLC. Right now, the homeowners are concerned about the traffic that it may produce. For emergency use, we're all for it. But having a road, increasing traffic, those are concerns. But anyway, that's.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, is there any further testimony before I bring it back for deliberation from the council?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to bring it back for council. I see Councilmember Stone's in the queue.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager Clifton, can you please verify the reasons why this is not a city-maintained road, please?
Yeah, so it can get a little complex and it might need to lean on planning or engineering staff, but ultimately there are a couple of ways that developments happen. Sometimes a developer will build infrastructure to public standards, and then that infrastructure, like streets, are given to the city to maintain. Sometimes a developer chooses to build roads differently and to pay for them differently, generally because they don't want to build them to that same standard. They want to build them to a lesser standard, to be more narrow and things like that. And generally the city does not accept those as public infrastructure. They're expected to be paid for either through an HOA or some other established organization or independently by the homeowners. So this is one of those cases, I believe, where the road was not built to a city standard. And for that reason, we tend to not put that obligation on the taxpayers because it's essentially non-conforming, and it was designed to be non-conforming in the beginning and to be covered differently.
Great. Thank you for the clarification. Then also, let's talk about the HOA that was established. And my understanding is that the HOA went under with, they owed $14,000. Jeff, is that correct?
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. I think the $14,000 was the amount maybe that was owned by the property taxes for the underlying property owner. The HOA, I believe, is defaulted or no longer exists or was disbanded. I don't believe we had found any record of that still existing with the state of California. We had explored at one point talking to the owner of the street itself. So Heirloom Court is the street that's in question. Heirloom Court is a privately maintained roadway. It was dedicated as a private road on the map when that map recorded. And part of the reason it was dedicated as a private road is not even a road, it was a private driveway. And to be actually really clear, in the Planning Commission documents, it was actually dedicated as a private driveway, not a private road. And the reason, if you look at it, it's extremely narrow. It's not wide enough to even allow parking along the edges of the road. There should be no parking signs. There are no parking signs along the road. There should be in order to permit fire access on that. It's effectively a large driveway for the 8 homes that are from the knuckle down to the end of the cul-de-sac on Heirloom's Court. That's effectively what you have. That's the reason it's deficient. It does not meet kind of our current standards for what a local public road would normally look like, and that's where the maintenance comes in. That being said, the underlying road itself is still owned by the original developer that developed the property. We've reached out to that developer, had very little success in getting access to them. I think that $14,000 was the remaining balance or whatnot on, I think, relating to the LLC or whatnot that still owns that property. And so it's even today, as we were to sit there, I think the property owners that live out there don't even have permission or access to grant a right-of-way to the city, even if we wanted to accept it.
And so with the testimony of you and our city manager, this is why we're here today. We're at this point. And so I just wanted you to have a clear understanding of the process. In addition, I'd just like to remind you that this is an emergency access only. There will not be traffic on this easement, sir. So thank you, Jeff, and thank you, City Manager Clifton.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. Councilmember Holliday?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to clarify a couple things. So if all the property owners got together and improved the road to city standards, they still couldn't dedicate it.
They don't own the road currently.
So
they'd have to go through a third party to get there. And the deficiency that exists now is the fact that the road's too narrow. It was built
But if they widened it and gave part of their property and did all that, they still couldn't dedicate it to the city.
Correct.
Because they don't own that chunk of it that exists today.
Until they can resolve that with that owner. Correct.
So they have to find that old developer, wherever that person might be, to have any chance of that being dedicated.
Correct.
In addition to getting it improved to city standards. So it's possible, barely, but they would have to do a lot of work, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. Mayor Pro Tem LaBelle?
Thank you. Just one clarifying question. I think Councilmember Stone kind of alluded to it. I wanted to give the representative another chance. If it's not clear that this will not impact the traffic issue you'd mentioned, the last issue was that you stated up here. The first issue I remember was the city maintaining it. I think we've talked about why that's not feasible, I guess, at this point. But do you have any questions about the traffic not being there? I mean, I think at least that could give you some solace, I guess. You can come back up here if you have a.
Yes, that portion is very clear. I understand, and I am all for the emergency access, and that's why we did actually donate it at no cost at 2 occasions. But what we were promised was that the city would consider. At that time, the road was, this is still the same road. It hasn't changed. So the consideration was there before. at 2 occasions. They could not record it because of the cloud on the title. That cloud's still there. So I was thinking, instead of paying $36,000 plus, maybe that money could be spent to remove this cloud on that roadway, and because this will happen again. This is a problem that needs to be solved, and the homeowners themselves are not willing to participate all because there is no HOA at this time, and the homeowners consider the road as a private road, but at the same time they're paying taxes for the services that they're not getting.
I think I'll ask the city attorney to maybe opine a little bit on that. The assumption that the $36,000 would address that, and if that's even feasible, I'm pretty sure that's been discussed behind closed doors at least.
Well, the property owners could band together and work to put the HOA back in good standing, and then address, as Councilmember Holliday suggested, widen the road to make it city standard, and then maybe the city would consider it.
Are there any roads in city of Murrieta that doesn't meet the standard and yet they're public?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there are exceptions. I think this would be a good exception.
My personal, just because there are doesn't mean we should keep doing that or making that same type of, or overlooking, but yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, okay, I'm going to bring this conversation to a close if we could, okay? But thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Councilmember Holliday?
Thank you. Madam City Attorney, for someone in their situation where the owner is next to impossible to get a hold of, is there any recourse through the courts to take ownership of that road? I mean, effectively, there's an easement across it as under adverse possession.
I mean, that's potential, but I would assume through, we haven't seen the HOA document, so we don't know how it was set up and what interest they have in it, and how it can be dissolved. But I would assume through the Secretary of State, there's something that could be done to dissolve the HOA or to take control over it or something if that developer no longer exists.
Yeah, if they're $14,000 behind on their fees with the Franchise Tax Board, you're not going to find them, and they're not going to respond. They have no interest in responding. It has no benefit to them. I have a thought I wanted to throw out, that if they're willing to dedicate the property, could we help them try and find a resolution to that ownership issue?
Can I maybe interject here real quick, Councilmember Holliday? So we have spent some effort trying to locate the property owner. We have located that property owner. They've been non-cooperative with us.
Sure.
I believe they've been non-cooperative with other residents in the area. I know we've had other property owners down in the area trying to reach out to them to see if they could locate or to have discussions with that property owner to get them to dedicate the right-of-way to the city. And at that point in time, this property owner, the person who owns this, I think he's behind on his the LLC that he owns is upside down. I think they own, I think that's the $14,000 tax statement that they have.
Right.
He's not willing to do anything until somebody goes and pays his tax bill to get the LLC back into place, and then we don't know what he would require as far as if we were to acquire the right-of-way of that overall piece of property. We don't know what the valuation of that would be. So
I wasn't looking at the city buying that street.
Right.
I wasn't looking at accepting the dedication. I was just looking at, instead of spending $36,000 some dollars, if we could spend something in helping guide them to either an easement or something across that road, if there's an avenue, to get that done.
Well, I think they would need to dissolve the HOA or take over the HOA, but that would...
HOA is non-existent.
Well, just because it's in bad standing is my understanding with the tax board.
Yeah, I've had that on another parcel that I owned where the HOA was not formed as an LLC, was formed as a partnership amongst the owners, and it lasted for like 6 months. And then they decided they didn't want an HOA, so they never met again. And yet the CCNRs, the group now wants to disband the CCNRs, get rid of them. And it says it has to be approved by 51% of the HOA members, which are the owners, but the title company says you don't have an HOA, so you can't have 51% of its members. And if you want to resurrect the HOA, it's going to, I think that case was like $30-some thousand at $800 a year. I get all that. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be an adverse possession easement that can be argued in court.
I mean, there could be, but my understanding is not only do they want help sorting that out, but then they want us to take over the street.
That's a second issue. I'm not offering to help with that. They would have to bring it to city standards for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To bring it to city standards, that would be their choice.
Okay, in the meantime, we need emergency access.
Well, no, they would give us, under that agreement, they would give us the access now. And we would help them try and sort this out. No guarantees. That's
I
my
think we're
thought.
in the middle of a hearing, and I think point of order is important that we move forward.
Okay. We're going to be, I'm going to close the hearing after this. I'm going to close the hearing at this time. I'm going to call for a motion in a second. I have a motion by Councilmember Stone and a second by Councilmember DeForest. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously 5-0.
Thank you, staff. We're going to move on to item number 22. It is a discussion, engineering design services for Keller Road at the I-215 interchange project, CIP number 8449. Staff, may we please have your report?
Yes, thank you again, Mayor Warren, honorable council members. Glad to be here again. I guess I like this chair, so I'm going to stay here. So tonight we have with you an agreement with Mark Thomas Company for engineering design services for the Keller I-215 interchange. I presume all 5 of you are very familiar with this project. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through that other than maybe for residents that are tuning in tonight. That is the 215 freeway and Keller interchange. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Those roundabouts don't exist today. That is a mock-up of what the interchange might look like. That is the Kaiser facility in the lower right corner of your screen. So just quickly, I'm going to walk you a little bit through the background. Obviously, the purpose of the project is to construct a new freeway interchange 1 mile south of Scott Road on the 215, and it's currently one of the top city infrastructure priority projects. We started this project back in 2010 with design and environmental work that was completed by Jacobs Engineering Group. They've completed a lot of work that involves a lot of acronyms between the project initiation document, the preliminary environmental analysis report, project approval, environmental, you're going to be tested on this later, by the way, the project approval and environmental documentation. At the last minute, we ended up having to actually we upgraded the environmental assessment to complete an environmental impact report, which is no small feat. And then Jacobs had also prepared the plan specification and estimates up to the 65% submittal. The current project status is Jacobs is continuing to pursue environmental approvals. In June of this year, Caltrans approved the draft environmental document. And then in July, we held a public open forum and concluded the public review period of that draft environmental document. Jacobs will be continuing to address comments from public review to seek approval of the final engineering document, the final environmental document, or the FE. I don't even get the acronyms right all the time. And at this point, Jacobs' current services will be complete. So, and by the way, I'm a little remiss. This is Jason Beneke. He's with Southstar. He is the construction, or the project manager for this project, and has been working on this project for several years. And he will be continuing to work on this project as a project manager for the city through the continuation. So as this project kind of got to the kind of the conclusion of getting to the conclusion of the environmental document, we had reached the 65% submittal. We had some federal funding. There's $1.6 million in federal funding this project needs to spend in the environmental design. We decided this was the appropriate time to make sure that we could spend that money, which means we need a contract that is suitable for federal funding. Unfortunately, the Jacobs contract at that time was not suitable because there was no federal money on that project at that time. So this was a good opportunity to reevaluate and take a look at that. The team decided to reopen the project to the open public and to advertise the project, determine if there were other consultants interested in doing the work. So the city then released an RFQ to all qualified design firms in April of this year. We received a total of 4 SOQs, or statements of qualifications, and received that was then evaluated by a 4-person panel made up of 2 representatives from the city, Jason here along with Bob Mailing, and then a representative from the city of Menifee and a representative from Caltrans also sat on that panel. And after that evaluation, the 4-person panel determined that Mark Thomas and Company was the most qualified consultant that was working on that job. To introduce Mark Thomas Company, we do have Darren Johnson from Mark Thomas is here in the audience tonight if there happen to be any questions for Mark Thomas. They are a full-service, multidisciplinary consulting firm. They do planning and design of Caltrans interchanges. They most recently completed, just in recent times, the SR60 and Potrero interchange. If you happen to be traveling through Beaumont, if you've been up there, that was their project. They do complete streets and multimodal connectivity projects. So we're very excited to have Mark Thomas and Company involved in the completion of this project. We went through a scope of work to determine the finish completion to get the plans from 65% to 100% submittal. And that scope of work was then negotiated with a fee of just over $1.8 million. Staff is also recommending including a 10% contingency subject to approval of the city manager. So that's a summary of the PS&E or the plan specification and estimate completion. The funding sources that we're using for this is State Transportation Improvement Program. That's the federal money that we've had. I believe it was an earmark or it was redistributed from another project, and then we have freeway diff funding that would be going towards this expenditure. As you know, as Councilmember Stone had indicated earlier, by the way, we're very appreciative of all your advocacy in getting WRCOG funding for this project. So that's great news to hear that we're getting potentially another $8 million. We are, just as I've identified on here, we are seeking at potentially adding some additional WRCOG funding, and obviously Councilmember Stone has already secured, I think, some of that. So those are all things that we're actively looking for, trying to make sure that we get sufficient funding for this project as we approach construction. So the recommendation I have here for you tonight is to approve the agreement for engineering design services for the Keller Road at I-215 interchange project with Mark Thomas and Company in the amount of $1,837,160.59. Authorize a 10% engineering design contingency of $183,716, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement and any amendments to the agreement not to exceed 10% of the agreement amount. And with that, I am here to answer any questions. Mr. Beneke is also here to answer any questions, and Darren from Mark Thomas can also be made available if you have any questions for them.
Thank you very much for your report. At this time, I'm going to bring it back to council for questions. Dr. Lisa DeForest, council member.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jeff and staff, thank you so much for the 15 years that this has taken to get here. I know I've been on council for 5, and it has completely engulfed everything that we talk about in that area. So I thank you for pushing forward and getting this to, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's an interchange. So I'm excited for that. So thank you, Jason, as well, for your diligence as well, and welcome Mark Thomas Group to get this project done. I want to see this come to fruition before we're off council, right? It's been forever, and my previous council members that came before me and had this vision and pushed this forward, I'm sure that they're very excited to see this come forward too. So once again, just thank you so much for your dedication and time to this. I know it'll be a game changer for that area. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember DeForest. I see no further questions from council. Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments regarding this item?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, council. I'll bring it back for discussion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion.
I'm in the queue.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't
That's okay.
see you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, thank you for the compliment, but as you know, council members, we advocate, and it's really due to the staff and the leadership that has had a large voice in advocating for Murrieta. So I want to thank you and your team. In addition, I'd like to say thank you to Senator Kelly C. Arto also. As you know, we've been to Sacramento several times to talk about funding and getting Keller Road out of the environmental process. And like Councilmember DeForest said, it's been 15 years. 15 years, government works very, very slow. And sadly for us, if we were able to build this change here, we probably would save millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so time costs the residents money, unfortunately. And it's really sad how government works extremely slow. So again, thank you to our past council. Thank you to Senator Kelly C. Arta, who's been such a wonderful advocate for us in Sacramento. And thank you to you and your team for all the years and the dedication in fighting for Keller Road. So thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. I would like to just pass along that I'm sitting here on behalf of Bob Mailing, who couldn't be here tonight as he's off in Chicago, but I'll definitely pass along your appreciation for the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ditto that because, you know, it did take a long time, a clear vision, a lot of red tape, and a lot of dollars that we're spending now that we wouldn't have spent 15 years ago. So I thank you for your perseverance and moving forward, because this could be a life or death situation getting to a hospital, and we need to make sure that people get there when they need to get there. So this interchange will be amazing. At this time, I have a motion by Councilmember Stone and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Congratulations. We're going to move on to item number 23. The Murrieta Children's Library Expansion Project Financing, award of the construction contract, amendment of the architect's contract, and authorization for the project management services. Welcome, staff. And we have a big team.
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Thank you.
I'm Kristen Crane, Assistant City Manager, and item 23 on your agenda this evening marks a really important milestone for another City Council priority project that is in keeping with the City Council's goal to coordinate and develop responsive, effective community services, and that is expansion of the Children's Library of our Murrieta Public Library. Recognizing that major capital projects are an interdepartmental effort, I'm joined by my colleagues. We have Municipal Services Director Brian Crawford, Finance Director Javier Carcamo, and Community Services Director Brian Ambrose, and we will each be covering a different facet of this project. So as an introduction, back in June 2024, staff presented to you a proposed roadmap for moving forward with expansion of the Children's Library, which was following a very extensive community outreach process and conceptual design. So the library opened back in 2007. The staff there provides a phenomenal array of programs, and quite frankly, it's bursting at the seams. This expansion was always envisioned when the library was first built. The staff applied for grant funding and were awarded $1.5 million from the state of California, which set this project in motion to move forward with the design of the expansion. So last June, you selected a design concept and authorized a budget and funding strategy, which then gave us clear direction as staff for how to move forward with the next steps of the process. And now we have completed that phase, and the next step is to authorize moving forward with construction. So tonight we're going to recap for you the design, the budget, the funding strategy, the status of the fundraising effort, with the ultimate purpose being to seek authorization to award a construction contract. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brian Crawford.
Thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to talk about this amazing project. It's a really important expansion project that we have. Before I get into my slides and my information, I want to be sure to acknowledge some of the team members that we've been working with at the library and some other staff members. So first we have Library Manager Melvin Rosellis, Supervising Children's Librarian Katie Mathewson, Children's Services Librarian Ashley Bagay, and Civil Engineering Assistant Casey Thompson. And I know we have a lot of supporters in the room tonight from different organizations and members of the public that we've been working with. So I had the privilege of telling you about the building program that was developed and what we intend to construct. So here on the slide, you'll see a diagram. We have on the right side of the diagram, we've got the existing library between the blue stripe and the red stripe. And then the green box represents the current Garden of Verses area. And everything to the left of the red stripe is going to be our expansion area. So the main focus is the 4,500 square foot expansion to the north side of the building that will expand into the current Carol Carson Garden of Verses. The expansion features a large 1,300 square foot multi-purpose storytime room on the lower half of the design that can be divided into 2 separate rooms for multiple programming spaces. These spaces will be dedicated to a wide variety of children's programming and will augment the multi-purpose room that exists in the library today that's used for a wide variety of programming and meetings for adult services and children's services alike. Then in the middle, just above those multi-purpose rooms are the children's stacks. This area will be, it's roughly 1,900 square feet. And it's will be new children's stack area with bookcases, display a variety of books and items, and small reading and sitting areas. And then on the top section of the expansion are the new restrooms, and then we also have staff offices in that area to support the programming in the new expansion area. The current children's library will also be remodeled and reimagined into a tween section that will feature book stacks and study space for older children and a new circulation desk. That's just to the right of the red stripe area. An important goal of the project is to take advantage of as much space as possible to maximize the programming at the library, and we intend to activate the outdoor space as well. We will be pushing out the boundaries of the outdoor space to the sidewalks that surround the library property. There'll be, you can see from the diagram there on the outside of the green box, we're going to be building out to the sidewalks. There'll be meandering walkways with reading spaces and a children's garden area and a sloped hill for seating that can be used for outdoor story times and classes. We'll also add a lot of of course they're outdoors. Adding a bunch of trees for shade because it's going to be super hot out there and we need a lot of shade. Here's also a really good rendering of that outdoor space that kind of shows the vision of what we're looking for. And the full activation of that space, you can see those garden spaces on the left side of the rendering, and benches and seating areas, and then the slope is in the bottom right-hand corner of that rendering. Our next slide, we have a rendering of the interior. This is looking from the north into the new library stack area. On the right-hand side, there'll be the restrooms and the staff offices. On the left-hand side is the staff offices and the restroom, and the right-hand side will be the access to the multi-purpose room. So I want to talk about the schedule just a little bit. Of course, pending approval of the construction contract by council, we'll have preliminary scheduled groundbreaking ceremony for September 4th, and with construction to start in mid-September. And we anticipate the construction will take about 12 months. It's important to note that during that 12 months, we have an active library that needs to stay open, and our operations will continue, and we're going to work with our contractor to minimize the impact to our library services operations. Of course, we need to talk about the project budget. So, of course, the bulk of the project budget is taken up through construction costs. And I want to touch briefly on how we arrived at the construction costs. So, past 6 months, we've been going through diligently with our design team, making sure that we've refined our plans and specifications, and then also our bid documents, and getting them through the plan check process. Back in June, with full bid documents produced and the plan set produced, we released a bid opportunity on Planet Bids. And we ran that bid opportunity for 4 weeks, and we received about 8 bids from contractors, and the contractor we selected was RC Construction. So we go through a pretty extensive process, making sure that we vetted all of the contractors, making sure that everybody's licensed, we're looking at their subcontractors, we're making sure their prices line up, that everybody is giving us the proper information and proper documentation. So we go through a pretty stringent process, making sure that this is publicly bid. Just for the edification of the public that is watching, we can't just go out and pick a contractor that we like. We have to make sure that we pick somebody that is the low bid, but part of that process is making sure that those documents and the plans are absolutely accurate, and we've given them exactly what we want, so there's less ambiguity in what we want to design. So part of the project budget also includes a construction contingency that we have to set aside to make sure that we have funds to cover any unforeseen circumstances, and that's roughly 15% of the construction budget. And you can see that as we go down the list, we have architectural design services from SVA Architects. They've been our design partner ever since July of 2023, when we started this process with public meetings and making sure that we understood what the public wanted to see in an expansion, and taking us all the way up through the design process. And they'll continue to support us through the construction process by reviewing any kind of submittals, or making sure that we can design our way through any kind of challenges that we foresee. So they'll be with us for the next year during this process. And then we also have our construction management with RW Bid Management. So they will be running our construction management and project management efforts on a going forward basis. So they've also been working with us for the past year with SVA. It's also important to point out that this whole project budget, the 8.015 that you see down there, this is for the entire project period. This is going all the way back to July of 2023, and this will take us all the way up through construction at the end into the summer of next year. Sorry. So some of the other elements that we have in the project budget, we have fixtures, furnishings, and equipment. So that's the furnishings that we have on the interior, the bookcases, the equipment that we're going to have for the library build out. We'll be coming to you later on this year or early next year with those fixtures, furnishings, and equipment contracts that we're going to be doing on cooperative purchasing. So we'll come back to you at a later point in time, for those contracts. And then we also have low voltage and IT service. So we have to put data drops in, we have to put key card swipes, we have to do a number of Wi-Fi drop points and all that really good stuff that will make the library expansion usable. We'll come back at a later time with that contract. So the total entire project budget is just over $8 million, and this gets us all the way through construction. And so next I'm going to turn it over to Javier, and he's going to talk about how we're going to pay for all of that.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Good evening, City Council members, city staff, and members of the public. With the few next slides, we're going to go over the city's funding plan for this project, which some you have already heard before. So the city is utilizing a mix of internal and external funding sources. Beginning with the California State Library Building Forward Grant, we received $1.5 million as a commitment for this project. This grant required 50% local match, which is the city is providing through the Library Development Impact Fee Fund in the amount of $752,813. In addition to that, the city has earmarked the remaining available library DIF funds in totaling $802,300. With the library DIF, these are funds earmarked primarily for library expansion. So this is certainly a eligible source of funding that we can utilize for this project. During the June 18, 2024, staff presented to you with the funding options for the remaining project cost. The first option was issuing bonds. The second was an interfund loan between the Measure T and the Library Development Impact Fee Fund. At that time, City Council conceptually approved pursuing the interfund loan approach. Staff since then have worked on preparing the interfund loan agreements and resolutions and provided an analysis to ensure that this is the most appropriate funding source that benefits the city. The proposed interfund loan terms are for a principal amount of $3.5 million at a 1% interest rate for 30 years. In the next slide, I will share the opportunity cost analysis confirming that this financing method provides the most benefit to the city. The city is also committing additional local funds by allocating up to $1,075,000 from the Measure T fund, primarily from either unassigned fund balance or reserves. This amount may change based on community donations, which currently totals $388,400 in commitments. With the approval of staff's recommendation tonight, the city total funding commitment for this project will be $8,024,138, making this project fully funded at 100%. So an interfund loan should provide a reasonable benefit to the borrowing fund without creating a financial burden to the city. To evaluate this, an opportunity cost analysis was performed. Starting with the interest expense component of the analysis, if the city were to issue a 30-year lease revenue bond at an average annual interest rate of 5%, the total interest expense over the life of the bond would have cost the city $3.3 million. In contrast, the proposed interfund loan at $3.5 million at 1% will cost the city approximately $568,552 in interest expense. This represents an estimated $2.7 million in interest expense savings by electing the interfund loan approach. Partially funded project or funded this project partially through the interfund loan, the city will forego investing the $3.5 million in the city's long-term investment portfolio. The loss in investment earnings resulting from investing the $3.5 million at 1% interest rate instead of the current investment portfolio rate of return of 2%, the estimated loss on investment earnings will be approximately $1.6 million. When we look at the combined analysis, identifying that an interest expense savings of 2.7 and the loss of investment in income of 1.6, we still have a positive net benefit of approximately $1.1 million. So based on this analysis, staff recommends that the City Council adopt the resolution authorizing the interfund loan agreement. The agreement attached to the resolution includes the key terms such as the loan amount, the interest rate, and the debt service payment schedule for the next 30 years. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ambrose, who's going to speak and provide us more information about the fundraising efforts.
Good evening, City Council. As you know, City staff has been working with our partner, the Murrieta Public Library Foundation, to ensure we have the budget necessary to construct a facility that meets not only today's needs, but the future needs of our community. When we first brought this project before the City Council, staff did so with a commitment to raise $550,000 at a minimum. Today, we stand before you with commitments from the foundation in the amount of $135,000, a commitment from the Friends of the Murrieta Library at $103,400, plus a further commitment to support the children's collections when we open. Pending private sector commitments of $40,000, of which we received a $25,000 check from our good friend Dan Lee today. Additionally, the 4 water districts have assisted with this project in an amount that will equal approximately $110,000. That includes in-kind contributions and turf removal rebates. Overall, we sit over $388,000, and that does not include the donation of 2 innovative parent-child cubicles donated by Supervisor Chuck Washington's office. It is important to note that fundraising efforts are not yet complete. We will continue to raise funds and contact prominent members of this community, and it is our hope to report back in February that we have met our goal. I would like to take a minute to run through all the presentations and community events that the city staff and our partners have participated in during the past year. Regarding presentations, our partnership has presented before the Medical Leaders Luncheon, Murrieta Rotary, Temecula Valley Rotary, Friends of the Murrieta Library Board Meeting, Library Advisory Commission, Parks Commission, Parents Teacher Associations at Cole Canyon, Coran, and Thompson. I could go on and on. We went everywhere we could, wherever we were invited. In addition, there were endless number of community events where we staffed a booth or participated in an event. Those include a fundraiser hosted by Councilmember Stone, Murrieta Night at the Storm baseball game, which if I could take a minute, Mayor, you definitely threw a strike there, and Thunder, with the world's largest catcher's mitt, somehow dropped the ball. So I commend you on that pitch. The Firefighters Barbecue, Extravaganza, Birthday Bash, Father's Day Car Show, Murrieta Market Nights. I believe 4 times our library staff was at the Market Nights, and will continue to go to any ones that they are invited to. Murrieta Valley Unified School District's TK Kickoff Fair, and the foundation hosted fundraisers at Mulligan's and Raising Cane's. Suffice it to say, we've been busy fundraising. And if your city council approves this project this evening, we will continue to look for fundraising opportunities along with the foundation. In conclusion, we are in a good position. I wish to thank our community partners, from the Murrieta Public Library Foundation to the Friends of the Murrieta Library. We certainly would not be here tonight without these 2 organizations. There are also so many other generous donations we've received, such as the Professional Women's Roundtable, the Knowles Women's Society, the Murrieta Rotary, the family of Carol Carson, and substantial donations from other private citizens, such as Kurt Corniesel. During the past year, we've raised a lot of community goodwill. I am not exaggerating that at every event that we went to, we were approached by parents that would reminisce about growing up in Murrieta, and they are now bringing their children to our library programs. Our library serves as a hub to this community, both today and for future generations. We have an all-star staff that starts with library manager Melvin Rosellis and children's supervisor Katie Mathewson, and proceeds through one of the highest performing libraries in California. On behalf of everyone at this table, the library staff, and our partner organizations, we appreciate this city's council's strategic investment in Murrieta's community, our future, and especially with our children. That concludes staff's presentation. We will remain for any questions, and I'll turn it back to you, Mayor, and thank you.
Thank you so very much for your presentation. Excellent job. At this time, I will ask questions from City Council. We'll start with Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you go to page, I think it was page 7. I think I wrote it down correctly. There we go. Let's talk about Measure T fund. So we have an interfund loan, which is 30 years for $3.5 million, and then funds from Measure T, which is $1,075,000. Just curious what the balance of the Measure T fund is after this.
The Measure T unassigned fund balance, if I recall correctly, we're have approximately somewhere around 25, 26 million.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. And with regards to the 15% construction contingency, as you know in the news that we're dealing nationally with tariffs. And my question to you is 15%, do you believe that we can stay within that 15% contingency as, you know, the unforeseen economy in the future?
So the contingency wouldn't be used for economic conditions that might arise. So when we put out bid documents and contractors submit bids, that's their bid. And you know, if there are tariffs that come up and impact any of their costs, that's coming really out of their bid. So more than likely, contractors, when they're coming up with their bid, are taking into account the potential for tariffs.
Right.
So contingency is not used for that. It could be used for something we may have missed during design, or we encounter some kind of a field condition that we didn't anticipate during design.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. That's good for our residents to understand. I really want to thank Brian and Melvin and the, I'm so sorry, I forgot your name, the president of the, Kevin, thank you so much, and especially to the Murrieta Library Foundation and Friends of the Library, for you to raise the kind of money of $388,400. You have to give yourselves a pat on the back. For you to go out into our community with all the partners and raise that kind of money, it proves that we are truly a private-public partnership. And Brian, I believe by February that you will hit your goal. We have one major donor that we are working on that actually could take us to $500,000. I want to thank our entire city team for your efforts. What a beautiful library. The mayor and I spoke before 100 women who care. And we talked about how a library is the hub of our community. And for somebody like myself that I don't even have an Amazon account, believe it or not, when it comes to technology, I am still one that likes to touch, feel, and smell. I like visiting our local merchants. I love walking into our library where our children and our seniors have access to the internet, way beyond what I even understand, and yet they still use our library. And again, it's not the library in which I grew up in. The library that I grew up in was very sterile, and you weren't even allowed to whisper. It was like being at a Catholic school where you'd get smacked. So I love the laughter, I love the energy, I love how our library has evolved to being the hub of our community. So thank you to every single one of you who've made this project such a priority. And I am just so proud that I get to be a council member and I get to live in a beautiful city and knowing how hard you all work for quality of life. So thank you so much. And that concludes my questions and comment, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. I'm now going to open up the public comments. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Kevin Kuhn.
All right, see, if you just waited a second, you would have got my name, so no, it's okay. Yeah, I wanted to speak in favor of this project, obviously, here tonight. It's been a long road, a long journey. I think one of the things that I'm super proud of as a community member, as a father, as a foundation president, is the partnerships that we've had together as a council and with staff and with library staff. Working together on this has been a ton of fun. It's exciting. I get goosebumps and all the things when you see the pictures of what the library could look like or will look like. I just can't wait to be in that space with my kids and to see the rest of Murrieta enjoying it. As Brian shared a second ago, we've committed as a foundation at this exact moment to $135,000. Of course, we did just get another nice check, and we're certainly excited about partnering on further opportunities. The foundation is going to continue to push forward with donations. We hope to actually get to more PTSA events with the Murrieta Valley Unified School District, and we've been really excited recently to work with the superintendent on some fundraising opportunities that he's putting in place. I even just saw at Cole Canyon, the PTC was putting out a flyer about fundraising, which was exciting. My daughter just finished Cole Canyon, so off to Thompson. Anyway, we really appreciate the support. We're in favor of this. I speak for everyone on the foundation. We've got two members here, Judy and Catherine, with me tonight, and so thank you for your support of this project.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Madam City Clerk.
Terry Gavitt.
Good evening. Oh my God. Oh God. Woo. My name's Terry Gavitt, and I'm one of the 5 library advisory commissioners for our city. It has been my pleasure and my privilege to serve our community for the last 3 years. In that time, I've met many people in our community and city government that have been working on the library expansion project, starting with our extraordinary library staff who wrote that grant that we were awarded that started everything, to all the people involved in the vision and development of the plans. I've witnessed the passion and persistence of everyone who has taken on this project with admiration and appreciation. As it is, our library is a great asset to our children that enhances their joy of reading, improves their literacy, and piques their interests in musical instruments and technology and in the arts. We provide outstanding programs to all ages of our population, and with the addition of this expansion of the children's section, we will be even better. I'm looking forward to your vote tonight to accept and start the physical work of this legacy project for all of the citizens of our beautiful city, and I thank you and everything you have done to get us to this point and pivotal point in our library's history. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk.
Rita Nastri.
This is my PowerPoint. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and all the council members for promoting the library children's room expansion project as we move forward with it. My name is Rita Nastri, as you know, and as president of the Friends of the Murrieta Library, I would like to tell you how delighted we are to support this project with you. Who would have thought years ago, in 2007, when it opened, we'd be ready for a new library, or an expanded library. And over the years since then, this small group of volunteers of the Friends has raised over $1.3 million, most of which has already been donated to the library. That's a lot of 25-cent and dollar books in our used bookstores. So please continue to support those used bookstores, okay? And we have a staff of many dedicated volunteers who man these bookstores. And so that amount is working with you. As we move forward with this huge milestone, I'd like to highlight the Friends are going to also increase their limit. I'd said 103. We're already at 105. And we've given $12,500 for the collections for next year. So that's kind of exciting. We're moving up and up and up. So keep those bookstores going, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations and good wishes to the Murrieta City Council and our wonderful library manager, Melvin, and his wonderful staff. We look forward to the visions of our founders, and we endorse the Murrieta Public Library Expansion Program and truly look forward to its completion.
Thank you very much. Madam City Clerk?
Nikki Davis.
Welcome. Hi.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. If you don't know me, my name is Nikki Davis. I am coming to you tonight as several things. First off, as one of the commissioners for the library. When I joined the commission just this year, I did not know that the expansion was happening, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. It's become a little passion of mine. I also come to you as the assistant director of a large preschool in town, who obviously is so passionate about children's literacy, and it's so exciting that we get to be a part of this. Our owners are also obviously huge advocates, especially in the first 5, and they have shown their support by already doing a donation, and they also supported a book drive where we got the word out to our about 700 families in the community, and they all brought books, which got donated to the library for their collection. And then anything that would not be used for the collection is going to be donated to the foundation to sell and get funds that way. Oh, sorry, I'm never nervous. Okay, I also come to you as the president of the Professional Women's Roundtable, which is a local nonprofit with over 100 members. We brought this the expansion to them as well, and we got a donation, a large donation from them that Mr. Ambrose mentioned earlier. So we have a lot of support in the community, which is really exciting. More importantly than all of that, I come to you as a lifetime member of Murrieta, a citizen of our beautiful city. I won't age myself, but my parents bought one of those $89,000 houses, and I remember the police department in the little double wide by the fire station. But I also come to you as a mom of 3 boys, one of which is here, who love the library. They love browsing the books. They love that they get to use computers that they don't get to use at home. They love doing all the events like the Lego car races, the Touch-a Truck, and all of that. And for me, this brings more opportunity to them, which is more than I could ever ask for. So I thank you all so much for your consideration, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk? Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to bring it back to council for any further discussion. Councilmember Holliday?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What's your theme this year?
Better together for a brighter tomorrow. I shortened it.
You shortened it?
I shortened it, yeah.
And that motto, I think, encapsulates what we're here about today. It's not, while staff has done a ton of work, the Friends, the volunteers, so many people have put so much work in it. It's really the culmination of everybody that has made this come to fruition. Even Javier, the numbers guy like me, put his magic thinking cap on and said, how can we do this? And came up with a phenomenal idea of the inter-fund loan. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's participated in this. We get to make the vote, but that's not where all the work's done. The work is done by all you guys. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further comments, I have a motion by Councilmember Stone and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle. Please cast your vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Congratulations. But wait, there's more. You didn't know I had this. If I could get your attention, please. I've lost control. No, we're not going to take a break. Sorry. Okay, at this time, I'd like to make another announcement. If I could have your attention, please. We received a letter of support from Superintendent Dr. Andrus with the Murrieta Valley Unified School District promoting our library expansion program. All 11 elementary schools have a blue bucket donated by Lowe's. They are collecting change from all their students until the end of September. So let's promote, let's get out there, and let's build that donation fund. Thank you so very much. We are now going to move on to item number 24, approval of agreement for environmental work for Los Alamos Sports Soccer Project. Staff, may we have your report? Welcome.
Thank you. See if Jared gets applause.
Yeah, Jared, we'll give you an applause.
Thank you. Sorry about that. And just to give a selfish plug, I think there's still a GoFundMe account for the library expansion. So if the
excellent.
public wants to hop online and donate, that would be incredible.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Jared Ramayo with the Development Services Department. Here to present a request for agreements with consulting firms to acquire environmental permits for the Los Alamos Sports Project Phase 2. Staff need to clarify an oversight in the scope of work for one of the contracts that's in your staff report. There are statements that the project site would be offered for sale to the public. That is not the case. And so I wanted to clarify that that's not part of the scope of work, and we'll have those couple of sentences deleted. But I do apologize for that oversight. To familiarize ourselves, this project site is the City of Murrieta along Ruth Ellen Way. On the screen, you'll see immediately to the north of the existing Los Alamos Sports Park, a 47-acre parcel that we're looking to grade. In order to do that, though, to get a grading permit, we have to go through a few agencies, regional, state, and federal. The site itself is within a larger sensitive area. The site has sensitive species, and it does require us to go through a more significant environmental permitting than you typically would see with a project site. Just to quickly touch base on the sensitivity, the map that you're showing is from the RCA's website, the Regional Conservation Authority. The blue lines are indicators of the freeways. So you'll see I-15, I-215, and SR-79 Winchester. If you look at that number 2 with the teal color, that's Core 2. And Core 2 is thought of as, in the eyes of the agencies, as a very particular habitat area. These striations, these lines that go to it, these are linkages. And so the importance is to provide a migratory way for species to get to core areas through these linkages. I just want to show this, that our soccer project, our phase 1 and phase 2 are within core 2. And so that's why this has gotten a lot more attention than your typical project that might be outside of these sensitive areas. But I just wanted to show this image that's in the staff report, just kind of highlight why this one got some attention. City Council last fall elected to form an ad hoc subcommittee. That subcommittee comprised of John Lavelle and Ron Holliday and met with staff. We talked about how to move this forward and what does that look like. We were directed as staff to bring back a staff report that does look into environmental permitting but limits the scope, and I'll try to touch base on what that is. Because the site is within Core 2, there's a disagreement with other agencies, other governments, regional, state, and federal, that we should go through a much larger process. We should amend the plan, and that would be called a criteria refinement. The direction that we're bringing tonight is that we will go through a lot of environmental permitting, but save the criteria refinement. In order to do that, though, to get the agency permits, which include a stream bed alteration agreement, waste discharge permit, incidental take permit for a bumblebee, all of that together will come at some expense. We were asked to bring back a reduced cost for your consideration. We would have to rely upon 2 separate firms to get through the environmental permitting with the other governments. We would have Glenn Lucas and Associates. They specialize in biological review. They've actually done similar types of analysis before, and they've been working with us for the last 2 years. The cost to bring them online for this task would be $163,120. We also would need to prepare a rough grading plan, a survey of the boundaries, and also prepare an initial study. That's a fancy way of saying an environmental document that goes out for public review. That would cost $184,000 for those folks to do that. In total, that would be $347,230. I would say that a year ago or so, we brought back the request was in the tune of $470,000. So we did bring down the cost to about $122,000 from last time. I would say that collectively, during this process, we have so far spent $183,000 insofar. So on top of the $183,000 that we've spent in the past, which has not gone to waste, we did produce a lot of biological surveys on sensitive species that we can still retain for this endeavor. But I would just let you know that we've brought back, through the direction of the ad hoc subcommittee, a reduced cost, but still a cost. And so with that, tonight's recommendation is that you would amend the fiscal year budget for that amount, approve an amendment to the agreement with Glenn Lucas, approve an agreement with Rick, authorize the exemption from bidding requirements, and authorize the city manager to execute both agreements. And so with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much for your report. I'll bring it to council for questions. We'll start off with Councilmember Holliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know you've been working on this quite a while, Jarrett. You're not going to get the applause the library did, but I appreciate the work. I know that the title of this agenda item is to approve agreements for the Los Alamos Sports Park soccer project, but we're not tied to that, correct?
No, I think I retained some of that verbiage just throughout the project, but this is, the goal would be to see if we can get a grading plan, grade the site, and maintain the site until such time we had a project that was further in the queue. But no, this isn't limited to just soccer. It's more of, can we get the permits and grade the site and retain it and grade the site?
And had we included that in our original grading and maintained it, we wouldn't be going through this process tonight.
True, that's why you see farmers diss their lands and other people maintain their properties over time. I would say that we had constructed phase 1, and then the Great Recession hit us pretty badly. So around 2012, 2013, we were geared up. We actually graded a portion of the site, but that was a deep recession, if we all recall, and we got gutted just like other cities. We had nothing to work from. So unfortunately, I don't fault staff for not being able to do that. It was a different time, a different era, but to your point, Councilmember Holliday, when you do have a clearing or grading cycle, you should maintain that in perpetuity. Otherwise, biology re-encroaches and you're back to square one.
And my point was not to try and put blame on staff or anyone else. My point is, if we don't do this, I mean, just in the past year, we have a new species to deal with. That wasn't there before had we done this a year ago.
Yeah, and you know, the state is glamping upon climate change. And so you will see more and more species as candidate, and they will arise to sensitive, threatened, and endangered. You're not going to see things come off the list. You're going to see them added. So it's going to add a lot of complexity to any type of permit that you would try to acquire.
Well, we did have one come off. We had the K-Rack come off, but I think we had like 100 go on.
At least one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my point is the longer we delay this, the more expensive it's going to be. And we can't use what is prime land for recreation for the city, regardless of what we do with it, correct? I mean, we could do basketball courts, we could do football, we could do baseball, we could do anything with that. But until we get it graded and cleared from the environmental agencies, we can't do a thing.
Correct.
And that cost is only going to go up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. Mayor Pro Tem LaBelle.
Thank you. This was actually one of the very first meetings I had with Mr. former council member and Mayor Alan Long with the soccer group in 2022, I believe. Given the project's long history, I think did you say it started in 2018? Was that the first year?
That preceded my time, but that sounds around the rough time that we got that, yeah.
What the efforts that have been put into all the things that have happened to this point, if we kind of missed the grading mark that allowed this to kind of lapse, if we did follow all the rules and we did grade it and we did pursue the rough design, are we sure that sitting on it as is, even doing the right thing, is going to be enough to keep it usable or unrestricted for when the time does come? And that cost certainly being less now than it will be in 5-10 years. Just if in 5 years we're doing all the right things and then something else happens, then all this is done in vain as well right now without a partner at the table or somebody that's willing to do something now. Because I guess my question is, are we confident that that's enough, that is going to be worth the squeeze?
If this was a much smaller parcel, I don't think we'd have that big of a care about, but this is 47 acres. It's very hard to find that amount of acreage in our city. We do need that area. If it's not for soccer, if we don't find the right partner, if you will, as we have youth in the audience tonight, we have a burgeoning demand for recreation. If it's not soccer, it's BMX pump tracks, right? There's a lot of other amazing things that our youth should get. And I believe that, to answer your question though, I believe that time is now, because we can find partnerships in the future. They come and go. But the land is very difficult to attain. And I think the point that Councilmember Holliday said is that things will be more difficult. Costs will skyrocket. I heard the question about tariffs from Lori Stone on a simple library expansion project. There's things in the horizon that none of us can really forecast, but I think one thing I've learned from developers is once you get a grading permit, grade it and maintain it, because the last thing they ever want to see is any biology that could re-encroach on the property. But just from staff's perspective, I would say that the time is now, but I do understand that there's a lot of competition for the budget, and you have a very difficult decision in front of you.
Question for City Manager. Neither of us were here during that time and the considerations or the decisions that had, the grading not happen. Are we confident, given another recession, another time, that this would be put on pause, that we have the bandwidth to make sure that doesn't happen again?
That's certainly intent. It's impossible to predict the future with absolute clarity. What I would say is, because we've had a potential partnership with Murrieta Soccer that has the potential to be in the area of $10 million, you look at the library as a contrast, where a $1.5 million grant opportunity was in part the impetus to undertake an $8 million project. If at the end of the day, the very worst thing that happened is we spent the 180 plus this new 350 for the possibility of a $10 million partnership, and it fell through, and we had to sit on it and wait 5 years or 10 years and do this again, while that wouldn't be anywhere near the first choice, I would still say to do it. Yeah. In addition to that, if this partnership didn't materialize, we do have some accumulated balances. We have a large list of needs. So if maybe not that worst-case scenario, but not the $10 million vision. Instead, we had a pump track, or we had walking areas, or we had other amenities that deliver public value, also well in excess of what's being spent here to unencumber the property. So there's virtually no world I can envision where this is such a significant risk that it would be worth considering foregoing the opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. No, not pickleball courts. No. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem LaVille. Thank you, Councilmember Stone. Councilmember DeForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question. Is there a chance after we go through all the environmental that there would be a chance that the property would be deemed unbuildable, or is that a risk that we're taking at this point? And I appreciate, Justin, what you said about spending the money to utilize 46 acres for our kids, because, yeah, field space is huge. I mean, I get probably 2 emails every week about field spaces, so.
Sorry.
Silence. I didn't think it was that bad.
No. I would say that there really are no more mitigation banks in Southern California. So the number one showstopper to a project right now is, hey, I have a wetland, I gotta mitigate. Can't do that. That crushes projects right now. I'm happy to say that when we did the surveys for the California gnatcatcher, we found them on the hillside that we're gonna avoid anyway. And so we're gonna propose that it was open space so that we don't have to look at off-site mitigation, because right now, there's really nothing to buy off-site. Usually the city would have to buy a privately owned land and put a habitat management plan with a very large endowment across that. If there's some other showstoppers that I think we would figure out with the drainage study and the stormwater management plan. The way the site drains is something that we need to analyze carefully, but I've not found a project killer in the way that we're designing it to complement the biological resources on site. But that is why the price point is really high for the biological review.
Thank you for that. And one other question. So we have already spent $183,000 on this project. So total all in, are we at about $430,000? Is that where we are? And do we have a proposed budget for after that for our grading? And what's our budget to look like?
So if you compound the $183,000 that we've already spent, and if we're asking tonight for $347,000, that would be a grand total of
$430,000.
Yeah, and so that is what we would get for that is agency permits and a grading plan to work from. That's a big deal to rely upon that. So at least we'd have the option to then go plow.
Okay. And then what is that going to cost us? Just a guesstimate?
We've not gone that far to estimate the grading cost, but the city would be self-permitting at that point, and so we would have limitations on who we'd have to work with.
So in order to get this far, we're going to have to grade it, right? Because once we get it mitigated through environmental, then we're going to have to grade it.
And the way the agency permits are designed, like the waste discharge permit, the stream bed alteration agreement, you only have a certain amount of time. I think some are 6 months, some are 12 months. You do have to act upon those permits to affect them.
So are we looking at another like $500,000 to guesstimate to get it so it would be usable land?
I don't have an estimate in front of me, but is the question on how much a grading plan would cost?
Yeah, just approximately.
Yeah. At that point, we would have a rough grading plan that we would work from. So it's about hiring the construction folks to, just to come out there with their D9s. Forgive me, I don't have even a rough estimate.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just trying to think this through on what it's going to look like for like the future. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you putting so much time and effort into this. I know this has been going on a long time. I know when we first had our very first goal session as electeds, this was one of the things that was a top priority that we were moving forward with. So I thank you for your information, and thank you, City Manager, for your comments as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember DeFore. Mayor Pro Tem Lovell, you had something else you would like to ask?
Yes, Councilmember DeForest kind of triggered my memory. I don't think we would have a cost estimate for a grading plan, but I talked to Mr. Clifton over there earlier about this, but we'd have this, it would be nice to know parameters, right? Like if we're gonna do this and we're gonna get the permits and be ready to put a shovel in the ground and do some tractors around, we know it won't be $10 million, I assume. Is there a ceiling and a floor for this that we could at least reference at this point?
I think we could have certainly established that. One of the reasons I mentioned earlier that, to some extent it's worth the speculation is that Murrieta Soccer continues to have interest. They've had interest in earnest since 2018. We obviously had some disruptions through COVID and other things, but largely the reason we haven't been able to move forward with any of those plans in a more concrete fashion is because this has always been tentative and we've had this environmental permitting hurdle to clear. As recently as the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've submitted a revised pro forma. They've had additional meetings with us as they've reorganized their governing structure and their membership a little bit. They're still eager and ready to go. But again, this was the step that was really, it didn't make a lot of sense once we pushed pause to organize the ad hoc committee. I wouldn't say we discontinued progress, but it wasn't certain that we would get to this stage or when we would get to this stage. So they're still ready to go. We've discussed everything from kind of likely annual debt service payments and, enough specificity for me to feel pretty good that they continue to burn calories engaging us, telling us they're ready. So we have more due diligence to do and to bring back to council to make sure that you share the vision. But like any private development, you generally start to create some of those cost estimates as you undertake certain aspects of design. That would also be deferential to what land is set aside, which portions of land are we grading, et cetera. So we would expect to start moving forward with that in earnest if we clear this hurdle. But in addition to that, certainly for something like annual upkeep in sort of a worst case scenario where we weren't undertaking a project within the next couple of years, few years, we could come up with some parameters and look at that cost.
Let's say best case scenario, this gets done, we get the permits, well, I guess we could scuff the ground, or what is it called, clearing the ground one time, and then if they're ready to go, would there be any more cost to the city, or is it here's the land ready to go and they can move forward?
I think the concept that we've discussed is that, especially with a public financing option where they would agree to pay annual debt service, that would be the bulk of the expense necessary to further design and then construct the improvements.
Okay.
So very limited cost to the city at that point, again, without being able to look at that through the lens of today's costs. And, we've very conceptually, as this vision was refined from something more grandiose that would have been $30 or $35 million with stadiums and other things to primarily focusing on recreational fields. We still want to kind of level set with what does that look like at today's cost. Similar to the library, there could be a conversation where we come back and give you alternate visions that further leverage city funds or exclusively leverage the funds of the soccer partnership. So there's still work to do to refine that vision. But we're ready to undertake that immediately as we gain some clarity on what land is available, what needs to be set aside for species and other things, and build a design around that.
All right, and my last real quick question. The revised pro forma you saw, I assume at that stage we don't see financials, any type of actual the back-end data that they would bring to the table. Are the revised pro forma and the revised conversations, are you more confident that they're willing or ready to perform?
I'm very confident that they're ready to perform. I think there's additional due diligence to do to understand the kinds of things you just mentioned, really reviewing financials, et cetera. But since long before the conversation about moving forward and forming the ad hoc committee, there were draft MOUs that looked at succession planning to ensure an adequate governance structure with the organization, looking at other aspects of management. We've reiterated things like the expectation that there's still a very significant proportion of Murrieta residents that use facilities, and that anything else that's used to kind of monetize and help pay debt service doesn't negatively impact that ratio of use. We generally want like 80% of the recreational use to be Murrieta residents. So we've, it's far more detailed than just we'd love to have soccer fields, right? We've got draft agreements, we've got estimated annual costs, and all of that has kept them at the table, eager, ready to go. We have another meeting scheduled. We're going to start to ask some of the more detailed questions about the assumptions in their pro forma for supporting documentation and all the things that you're talking about that are the reasonable next steps. But the fact that they keep coming back over and over and over again after, 6, 7+ years tells me that they're ready to go, and nothing yet has caused them to disengage, including the level of specificity that I just mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle. Councilmember Holliday, you have a couple more questions?
I do, thanks to Councilmember Lavelle. I know we've been talking a lot about soccer, but as I said in the beginning, this isn't predicated just on doing soccer. My question is once we get the permits, we can contract with anyone that wants to do a pump track or whatever out there. 500 pickleball courts, I think was Councilmember Stone's suggestion, but they could do the grading, correct? I don't know who wants to take that.
Who could do the grading? Sorry.
Whoever we contract with to build the facility.
Yeah,
we don't have to do the grading.
If we were prepared within that time frame, and again, I think we talk about some rough grading. I don't know where this is between a true clear and grub, taking out vegetation, versus kind of leveling and cutting and filling and other things like that. There's minimal work that we can do to prevent the encroachment of new biology, and then when you know what you're going to do, and if that's right away, a pump track in a corner that's not going to interfere with the rest of the vision, you could absolutely have somebody who wants to undertake that project do that work.
And so we could initially not grade it because we have 6 to 12 months, whatever the agencies give us, and seek whatever partnerships and vision that's going to be for that property, whether it's soccer fields or whatever. And then if we get closer to a time frame, we can go ahead and grub it to put it in a state that no biology would be there. And the cost for that would not be like a grading plan.
We're going to need to act quickly once we get agency permits. The good news is that a portion of the site was graded before, so we're not talking a lot of import or export. That's usually a big cost for that stuff. But my vision would be grading it down, removing all vegetation except for the avoidance areas, putting in fencing so that there's a true boundary line on where we can maintain clearing, and then keep that cleared until we have another opportunity.
But in that time, in that interim time to begin with, we could have a partner that comes and does that, and it wouldn't cost the city anything.
Certainly, that's what developers are good at. So
yeah. Okay, just want to clarify that.
Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment, Madam City Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilman Klein.
I don't need that. Chair to answer the question. Thank you.
Well, as a result of the discussion, I'm going to be all over the place, but I'll just start with, if it was so easy to find a partner, we would probably have a partner at the Equestrian Center, wouldn't we? We walked in and purchased the Equestrian Center, which I was an advocate for, with no plan. We still don't have a plan today. We built the amphitheater. 5 years ago, we had the ribbon cutting. We don't have a plan today. We still have an ad hoc trying to figure it out. We had this plan for the sports park and then the soccer fields. What do we have today? We have a bunch of hypotheticals. You know, the library was a fantastic report, a lot of information. I've asked no fewer than a half a dozen times publicly for something like that. How much have we spent to date? But more importantly, what's the end game? Councilman Hawley, well, we can grade. We don't even know what the cost of grading is. It's unclear to me if this, with Glenn Lucas, if that's is that gonna delineate what we can do? I mean, do we know what the scope, what the project envelope is? We've spent $184,000, I believe it was with Helix Environmental. What did we get? So I ask you, fiscally responsible. This is general fund money. We have a stormwater system, 2 of them, line F and line G, which flood every year with biology in them. You close off the streets to downtown. Most of downtown floods. We close off roads and make non-conforming dead-end roads that the fire department would never approve today. This is general fund money. This isn't Quimby diff fee money on a park that you guys are going to spend without an end game. We don't know what the budget is. So we're compromising public safety money that we could spend elsewhere on public safety items on a vanity project that we don't know the end game. We don't know the end cost. We don't know the end project. And who cares about who the partner might be? Without the first 2 questions, it doesn't matter. So what are we doing? We're going to spend more money? Really? Without having answers to those questions? And I appreciate Justin having the conversations with the soccer people, but why isn't that information shared with you? I mean, it was shared before when they came to us and they weren't able to perform. How do we have confidence in today? And I understand that I don't believe any of you were here seated at that time. But historically, we're talking about the same people. You know, I talked to you about it at the food event. We need to vet these people that we're going to jump into the sack with. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, any more further public comment?
That concludes public comment.
Thank you very much. I'll bring it back to council for discussion. Seeing none, I'm sorry. John, you snuck in there on me. There you go. What?
You're in there, okay.
All right.
Just, you know, this is a discussion, so you taking those comments and kind of wanted to highlight a little bit. Because we don't have a partner identified, it is important to know, again, those guardrails of like, if spending this money today for this scope of work only opens up the door to spend $5 million, that's a no-go. Like that's a non-starter. But again, like I think we could say it's not going to be $5 million, but if we don't know the cost of the grading, we don't know the high and low of the projected, you know, how do we get this really cool project to be deployable? That is something that I think deserves a little bit more attention. We have to have those guardrails, because if we don't know what we're getting into, then it's essentially it could be a financial trap, right?
Yeah, if I could, I certainly understand the concern. And to the extent that council was more comfortable for us to establish some of those guardrails, now we can certainly do that. That said, I don't know that it's fair to say we don't have a partner. We've gone down this road because, again, since 2018, we've had a willing partner. Admittedly, initially, there was a vision that exceeded $30 or $35 million, and that's been revised, as visions often are, as you come to the first crossroads of decision-making when you start to understand how much does it cost to accomplish a certain vision. I think the library was actually similar. Initially, we proposed adding more square feet or having a different architectural design, and some of those things were scaled back. So we have a partner. I don't know that it's truly analogous to the Equestrian Center where we didn't. And that is a significant difference. Yeah. The Murrieta Soccer is an organization that currently has the kind of membership revenue to support annual debt service payments to the tune of financing something like $10 million. We have had some conceptual level reality checks on that level of funding. There has been some conceptual conversations of, you know, where fields would be and what size, the kinds of programming that would be used. And so is there more due diligence to do? Absolutely. But that partner's been at the table with us for 6 or 7 years, asking us, please, is it time to move forward? We're still ready. We're still ready. We'll submit more documentation. We'll revise our performa, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's been through quite a bit more scrutiny, planning, and detail. And the investment at this point is also substantially less because we're talking about a few $100,000 at the speculation that that 7-year partnership continues to materialize versus something like a $1.8 million expenditure with no vision, no partner, no revenue source. That said, we also, in addition, do have fund balance dollars that are limited to things like park development. We do have a park development impact fee that brings in annual revenues that are available currently, probably not to the tune of $10 million, but certainly to the tune of things like pump tracks and other facilities that could be built on this land. So overall, it's absolutely appropriate to do kind of a high-level cost-benefit analysis or a risk analysis when we undertake this. I think the comparisons probably aren't analogous to this one, where we have lower costs and much greater certainty. We've removed them from the kind of presentation because to some extent we didn't want to conflate the two items, which is vetting this vision and reaching the conclusion that regardless of that particular vision, there were good reasons to unencumber the property. And if that other vision falls apart, we start to look to either other partners or other city initiatives to utilize some of that land. So that's the difference. Overall, to me, that tips the scales from one of greater risk to one of lower risk. But again, it is up to council to decide if you'd like to see other guardrails in place before we take on this step, which in the context of any development of 50 acres is relatively small cost, but certainly understand the concern.
And I'd probably like to invite Cassie back up after I make this comment. Oh, it's not a discussion?
No, it's our discussion.
Oh, okay. I do look at this as two different things. Although we do have a partner of the soccer organization, we should do this thing here, what's written in front of us, but we have the undefined parameters that are also part of this being worth doing. The partner of the soccer, company, or whoever else that will be after the fact, that can go many different directions. I hope it's the soccer people because they've spent, so many years having these conversations. I mean, it would be a shame not to have them do this, but am I leaning in the right direction, thinking about this, and it is two separate situations that we need to do this before anything else happens. But to Catherine's point, if you don't know how far this rabbit hole goes financially, it does seem vague.
Yes. So initially, we thought that it had been well established because there were work sessions that I wasn't a part of. It preceded my time, but where parents and participants of the soccer program came in and said, let's do this. And so we thought it was kind of one. When we presented last time, there were a couple of different concerns mentioned publicly and supported by council. One was the environmental review, and the other was the vision for the soccer. So we've kind of decoupled them because it sounded like that was the interest of council. And again, one of the key questions that the ad hoc committee worked to address is, are they contingent on one another or not? And we reached the conclusion after looking at, is this a criteria refinement? When does it have to be done? Are the costs of permitting going to go up? Are there new species? You have to evaluate those costs along with those other maintenance costs that we're talking about to maintain a graded site, and reach the conclusion that, yes, it makes sense to move forward with this piece, the environmental permitting now, regardless of whether the soccer project kind of comes to fruition, which is why we decided to kind of decouple them, focus on this piece now, but we are moving forward in parallel, which is why we received a revised pro forma, why we have a meeting scheduled, I think, next week or the week after, so that we can take advantage of getting that vision established. If this is green light go, the very next step is to then vet the organization, bring you those details, and start to look at the certainty that you like this vision over another, and move that forward so that by the time we're done with this, we could be ready to actually spend money and grade the project like has been planned.
Can you opine a little bit further on the different fund mechanisms versus the general fund assumption is in how
Yes.
deep that goes?
So besides a potential partnership whereby soccer would pay annual debt service for some public financing, we also have funds that are restricted to park-type development, and that includes some existing fund balance, and it includes annual contributions to development impact fees that are currently projected about $500,000 per year. So the combination of those sources, and I apologize, I can't recall what that balance is, but it's millions, not tens or hundreds of thousands. There are other potential uses for that. You'll never hear me criticize the conversation about what things are more important or less. As we presented to this council the strategic master plan, it's full of an imbalance of supply and demand for recreational facilities. So we know somewhere in that future vision that has to be an emphasis if we're going to meet the needs of our citizens. It's one of the most in-demand developments we have for public development is sports fields specifically, not playgrounds, not other kind of parks, not open space, fields. So we do have money that could only be spent on that kind of thing, as well as this prospective partnership, as well as some of those accumulated fund balances that would be general and could be used for other priorities.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Holliday?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Couple things. The soccer folks have been engaged in this since the beginning. It's the permitting process, the habitat that's caused the delay. And they've been talking to city managers and city council members since 2018, trying to get this to move forward. Regardless of how that works out, what I want to make clear to my colleagues is that clearing and grubbing is not grading. You think of grading a project, that can be very expensive. My little 5 acres that I did 3 pads on cost $73,000 of private money versus probably would have cost $150,000 for public money. A clear and grub is a tenth of that because all you're doing is clearing vegetation. One of the challenges where very difficult to have certainty in this is until we get the permits, we don't know where that area is. We don't know what we can do and where we can do it until they sign off on it. So we have 47 acres. How many acres will we end up with? Can you give me any certainty on that?
Maybe 20. Yeah.
And so we would clear and grub 20 acres. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so we've got to get to that point that we know what we have to do before we can even get serious with a partner of what we're going to build. And yeah, the soccer folks have been there all along. I agree we need to do due diligence, but I also want to remind my colleagues that in my advocacy with RCA, I reduced the cost of this by $120,000. That's not guaranteed to stay.
So that you kind of hit what I was talking about. The clear and grub for 20 acres, like we have to go, like, it certainly could talk to like what that would cost for us to keep this thing usable, right?
When we, thanks to our fire chief, who's always paying attention, we have estimated quotes for vegetation clearing, not grading, but vegetation clearing at about $3,000 per acre. So again, there's a couple big variables here in what can be developed. Ideally, we would do some grading with or without a partner. From there, you might only need to clear and grub what is graded to kind of keep the encroachment of biology. But none of these costs, I don't think at this phase are in the millions of dollars. That would be ultimately construction. And there's escalating costs regardless. If we don't do permitting now, it's the consultant costs, it's the potential for additional species and wildlife. It's all of those escalating costs compared to something like the ongoing maintenance. We have not performed that analysis, so we admittedly can't give you that delta. If it's something you need, we can do it. But
no, I think.
And the criteria refinement, by the way, $120,000 is a consultant cost. We still have to go find a property and buy it. In addition. So it's not just $120,000 I've gotten RCA to kind of agree to. We're kind of forcing their hand.
Did you get it in writing?
I got it in the sense that it's going to happen regardless.
That's being recorded.
Yes, it is. Anyhow, that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no more in the queue, at this time, I'm going to ask one more time. No more discussion? Okay, we have a motion by by Councilmember Stone and a second by Councilmember Holliday. Please cast your vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you. We're going to move on to notifications. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Notice is hereby given. An application was filed by Whitewood Murrieta LP, a Delaware limited liability company, for tentative trap map number 38199 to subdivide 9.99 acres for residential use, including 153 condominium units. Engineering staff has completed a review of the final map for conformance. Final trap map TR 38199 conforms to the conditions of approval and the tentative parcel map. All dedications and mitigation required in the conditions of approval have been offered and secured. Mylars of the original final parcel map are available for review at the engineering department front counter. That concludes the notification, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Madam City Clerk, are there any reconsiderations?
Any council member who voted on the prevailing side of the original motion may move a reconsideration to consider new information or correct inadvertent errors on a non-public hearing item at the same or the next meeting. At this time, are there any requests from the City Council for reconsiderations? Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Tonight, before we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Madam Mayor, I'm so sorry. You skipped council member request to add items to future agendas.
My apologies, I did. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I do have a request to bring to council for
you want to do your thing?
To bring to council for discussion and a possible stance on the special election in November on the statewide redistricting.
I'll second that.
I assume you hadn't thought of this in time so we could discuss it.
Well, I want to bring it back for us to discuss it.
I'll support it.
There you have it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't miss that. I was
That's okay.
reading something else. I apologize.
It's a long night.
Okay, it's been. Okay, so before we adjourn tonight's meeting, I'd like to ask Councilmember Stone. I know she would like to say a few words in memory of a local resident.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As everyone knows, we're not a city at large. We're a city by district. And in my district, recently on August the 7th, 2025, a tragic car accident claimed the life of a fellow colony resident, Patricia Gardner, who is 88 years old. Our hearts break for her family, and for all in the colony community who knew and loved her. May the wonderful memories of Patricia bring comfort and smiles to everyone's hearts. Madam Mayor, can we just have a moment of silence? Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone. At this time, I now declare the meeting adjourned.